Hokage I can only draw S-rank rewards. Chapter 161-180. Chapter 161 _ Successful Cooperation. As the black chakra ball flew into the sky, a strong suction came from above, and suddenly countless trees rose up from the ground, and the ground began to crack. Even Lei Luo, who was incarnated as a Buddha, felt unstable. There is a feeling of being sucked into the sky. Damn it. Nagato is really ruthless. This is in his own territory, so he can't agree with such a big move. Lei Luo was speechless, but he still had to find a way to crack this move. After all, he came to a Megakure village to work with Akatsuki, not to die with him. If you want to break the Chibaku Tensei, heavenly body bursting from the earth, you must break the singularity, which is the core of the Chibaku Tensei, heavenly body bursting from the earth, but ordinary power can't break it, so I will too only use some trump cards. The big Buddha Lei Luo stared at the black singularity in the air, and then directly activated the power of Godzilla in his heart, and directly entered the full body form. The faint blue chakra spread out from Lei Luo's body, so mad that he wrapped his whole body, and then transformed into Godzilla. Facing the increasingly strong suction force of the black singularity, Godzilla Lei Luo had no time to slowly test it out, and directly used the strongest move, Atomic Breath. Godzilla Lei Luo had a big mouth, and the blue chakra condensed in his mouth and spun continuously, and then Lei Luo spit it out and directly attacked the black singularity in the sky. Boom! With a loud bang, I felt the entire sky dimmed, and then a powerful shock wave spread out. The clouds in the sky were directly washed away, the rain that had been in the country of rain for years finally stopped, and the sun shone on a Megakure Murakami. A Megakure was in a mess, but under the protection of Conan and others, there was not much loss. Nagato had some regrets after he manipulated pain to release Chibaku Tensei, heavenly body bursting from the earth. But Nagato frowned again. Lei Luo had such a powerful strength, and he just shot without mercy. He didn't know if Lei Luo would change his mind. Instead of cooperating, he directly killed Akatsuki. So Pain Wudao watched Godzilla, Lei Luo, and became alert again. The hungry ghost Dao had been completely destroyed by Lei Luo, and he had to find an opportunity to replenish it later. However, after seeing the black singularity that destroyed the Chibaku Tensei, heavenly body bursting from the earth, and then everything went back to normal, Lei Luo exited full-body Godzilla mode and returned to normal. Looking at Pain Wudao who was on guard, Lei Luo smiled and said, "How is it? Are you sure of my strength now?" Hearing Lei Luo's words, Nagato relaxed and controlled pain to reply, "I have seen the strength of your Excellency Lei Luo, and he is fully capable of cooperating with our organization. Now we can discuss the details of the collaboration." Lei Luo replied, "Okay, but shall we discuss it here?" Pain looked at the mess around him and said to Lei Luo, "I'm sorry, Your Excellency Lei Luo, please come with me." Then he took Lei Luo to a secret room. After Lei Luo and Pain entered the secret room, the rest of Akatsuki began to clean up the mess and had a heated discussion. And the most exciting of them is Deidara. Ha ha ha, let me just say, explosions are art. The guy just now must be a very artistic person, and he likes me Deidara. Seeing the explosion just now, I suddenly got a lot of inspiration, and I will definitely be able to develop a stronger explosion. Ha ha ha. Although the others were not as excited as Deidara, they were also shocked by the strength of Pain and Lei Luo. On the other hand, Black Zetsu lowered his head in thought with a gloomy expression on his face. Damn it, how can this guy Lei Luo be so strong? I wonder what his cooperation with Nagato is about. I don't know if he will affect my plans. Have a word with Obito, he can't waste time in the land of water anymore, it's time to start planning. Then he quietly mobilized White Zetsu to sneak into the underground of the secret room, trying to eavesdrop on the conversation between Pain and Lei Luo. Lei Luo and Pain negotiated the terms of cooperation in the underground room, and Lei Luo also discovered the underground White Zetsu through 5 visions. Although White Zetsu can hide his aura from others, Lei Luo's omnipotence can see him directly. Although Lei Luo discovered White Zetsu, he didn't take action to destroy it. Instead, he wanted Black Zetsu to know the content of his cooperation, and the provincial Black Zetsu would come up with other things. Your Excellency Lei Luo, since you said that your purpose is to capture the nine-tailed beasts, do you have any plans? Pain asked. Lei Luo smiled and replied, my plan is very simple, as I am temporarily inconvenient to take action against other villages, so the tailed beasts in other villages, that is, 1 to 8 tails, will be captured by you Akatsuki. And Konoha, SQB, 9 tails, leave it to me. After all, Lei Luo possesses the sky-defying resurrection skill of awakening light, and 10 tails does not need the whole QB, 9 tails, to absorb, as long as Lei Luo takes out the half QB, 9 tails, from Minato's body or Naruto's body. Tails, just fine. After taking out QB, 9 tails, even if Minato or Naruto die, Lei Luo can resurrect them again through the light of awakening. Moreover, as long as Lei Luo takes care of Otsutsuki Kagaya, the 9-tailed beasts in 10 tails can be separated again. After listening to Lei Luo's words, Pain frowned and replied, Your Excellency Lei Luo, I'm afraid this is inappropriate. We Akatsuki want to collect 8 big-tailed beasts, and you only collect 1, so it's not appropriate. Lei Luo replied, if I don't cooperate with you Akatsuki, you will never get QB, 9 tails, you should know my strength by now. One more thing, have you mastered the sealing technique of extracting the seal-tailed beast? The magic dragon 9 seals are exhausted. Pain shook his head slightly and replied, I sent people to search for the ruins of the Kingdom of Vortex, but I couldn't find it, but my men found the former QB, 9 tails Jinchuriki column force. The body of Uzumaki Kushina. Quote, I will find a way to recall her soul from the underworld in the future. The human world can obtain this sealing technique by reading her memory. Lei Luo chuckled and said, haha, have you ever thought about it? What if Uzumaki Kushina doesn't know about this sealing technique? Pain lowered his head and meditated upon hearing this, and was silent for a while. But Lei Luo woke him up and said, since you are not satisfied with the cooperation content just now, then I will propose a new one. You Akatsuki are in charge of capturing the 8-tailed beasts. QB, 9 tails, and the 9 tails of Magic Dragon are all handed over to me, but you must give me the body of Uzumaki Kushina first. Pain raised his head, looked at Lei Luo and replied, okay. That's it. Chapter 162 Obito's reaction. Kushina resurrection ready. The land of water, Kurigakure village, Mizukage building. A dark figure emerged from the ground, followed by a twisted Uzumaki in the air, and a man with a spiral mask walked out of it. Black Zetsu, what's the matter with you coming to me? The masked man, Obito, asked. That dark figure was naturally Black Zetsu, and I saw him reply, not long ago, Lei Luo went to a Megakure village. Obito frowned under the mask and asked, Lei Luo, what is he doing in a Megakure village? Black Zetsu replied, he wants to cooperate with Akatsuki. I sent White Zetsu lurking underground to hear their conversation. Lei Luo's purpose is also to capture the 9-tailed beast. I don't know why. And there is a problem, Lei Luo is very strong and Nagato is probably not his opponent. Obito heard the words and replied in a deep voice, since he has the same purpose as ours, then leave him alone for the time being. As long as it can accomplish its purpose, nothing else matters. Black Zetsu nodded and said, I think the time is right for us to start as well. Obito replied, it's not time for me to take a shot, let Akatsuki's people go and grab the first and second tails. The third tail is in this guy's body and can't run away. Obito pointed to Yagura, but Yagura seemed to have heard nothing, and now he was just a puppet controlled by Obito. Black Zetsu nodded and said, then I'll leave first, and I'll let Nagato and the others start. After speaking, Black Zetsu sneaked underground, performed the mayfly technique and left. Obito turned his head to look, watching Yagura snorted, then twisted into Uzumaki and disappeared. Now that he has negotiated cooperation with Nagato, there is no need to stay in a Megakure village any longer. Lei Luo left Megakure village and returned to Konoha. The first thing Lei Luo did when he returned to Konoha was to contact Namikaze Minato. Now that he had obtained the body of Uzumaki Kushina, it was time to bring her back to life. Namikaze Minato saw when he cast the ghoul seal should be Black Zetsu, and the body of Uzumaki Kushina should be given to Nagato by Black Zetsu. After receiving the news from Lei Luo, Namikaze Minato rushed back from outside the village. Namikaze Minato looked at Lei Luo and asked excitedly, "Lei Luo-kun, is the news you sent me true?" Lei Luo smiled and nodded and replied, "Yes, I have obtained Kushina's body, but I can't tell you how to get it for now." Namikaze Minato nodded and didn't care. Everyone has their own secrets. He just needs to be sure that Kushina's body has been found, and it is enough that Lei Luo can help him resurrect Kushina. Lei Luo looked at Namikaze Minato and said, "Now we are only one step away from resurrecting Kushina, we need the corpse of a ninja." Namikaze Minato asked suspiciously, "Ninja corpse?" Lei Luo replied, "Yes, if you want to resurrect Kushina, you must use the technique of impure world reincarnation to recall her soul from the underworld, and to use impure world reincarnation, you need a ninja's corpse as a Matsuri product." Namikaze Minato nodded when he heard Lei Luo's explanation. He had never learned the forbidden technique of impure world reincarnation before, so he didn't know the conditions required to perform this forbidden technique. So Namikaze Minato said, "Lei Luo-kun, give me 1 day, I will find the body of a missing nin and bring it back, and a day later, we will resurrect Kushina." Lei Luo nodded and replied, "No problem, Minato-kun, go ahead." As soon as he finished speaking, Minato's figure disappeared, and he couldn't wait. The Land of Fire, Konoha Village, Orochimaru Abandoned Base. Orochimaru's experimental base is very hidden in the village. Since Orochimaru defected, valuable materials and experimental items have been cleared by the village, and the place has been abandoned. No one else will come here at all, and it's just right here to resurrect Kushina. After Namikaze Minato successfully obtained a missing nin's body, Lei Luo came here with him, ready to resurrect Kushina. Namikaze Minato looked at Lei Luo and said solemnly, "Lei Luo-kun, please." Lei Luo nodded and replied, "Minato-kun, you don't have to be so nervous. But just in case, please set up an enchantment here." Namikaze Minato nodded and replied, "No problem, leave this to me." Then Namikaze Minato directly took out a dozen swords of love from the ninja kit and threw them out. The swords of love fell precisely in every corner of the abandoned base. Then the hand seal in Namikaze Minato's hand, with the point of the sword of forbearance and love as the node, a barrier suddenly opened, isolating all external perceptions and avoiding the possibility of being discovered by others. Very good. Lei Luo looked at Namikaze Minato's open barrier and nodded. Namikaze Minato's seal master is also very good. This barrier also includes his own time and space attributes, which should be improved. Now that the preparatory work has been done, it is time to resurrect Kushina. Lei Luo took a small piece of flesh and blood from Kushina's corpse, then stood in front of missing nin's corpse, and started hand seal in his hand. Yin, Si, Shu, Chen. Then Lei Luo put his hands together, and the missing nin corpse in front of him suddenly changed, and a mysterious aura pervaded. Missing nin's corpse changed into Kushina's and opened his eyes. "I am." Kushina's soul was just recalled from the underworld, obviously a little confused. Then he sat up, looked around, and saw Namikaze Minato at once, ignoring Lei Luo who was standing beside him. "Minato." Kushina got up and ran towards Namikaze Minato. Namikaze Minato didn't dodge either, and hugged Kushina directly in his arms. "Minato, I'm not dreaming, I'm back in this world," Kushina murmured, burying her head in Namikaze Minato's arms. Namikaze Minato's face was full of tenderness, stroked Kushina Yuhi's long hair, and said, "You are not dreaming, this is all real." "Minato, how did you come back to life? I remember you didn't use Ghoul Ban." Kushina asked, raising her head from Namikaze Minato's arms and looking at him. Namikaze Minato replied, thanks to Lei Luo-kun, he liberated me from the space in the belly of death, and he mastered the resurrection. Is it Lei Luo-kun? Kushina said, is that the one you said at the beginning, the one who has the boundary of light escape and blood that has never appeared in the ninja world for hundreds of years, Master Tsunade's disciple Lei Luo-kun? Namikaze Minato nodded and replied, that's right, that's him, and Naruto was also adopted by Lei Luo-kun. He is Naruto's adoptive father. Naruto. How old is Naruto now? How is he doing now? Has he started school? Kushina got excited when she heard Naruto's name, and couldn't wait to hear about her son. Cough cough cough. Chapter 163 Kushina Resurrection. Cough cough cough. Lei Luo looked at the two loving people in front of him, and when Kushina and Nagato wanted to talk at length, he couldn't help coughing a few times to wake them up. Only then did Kushina realize that Lei Luo was standing beside her. Even though she was a carefree Yuhi-chili, she couldn't help being a little shy. Then Lei Luo watched Minato turn their heads and said to Kushina, Kushina, I just recalled your soul from the underworld now, you haven't really been resurrected. Naruto is doing well now, and he has also graduated from the ninja school to become a genin. Now he is going out with Kakashi to do missions. Kakashi is his leader, Jonin. If you want to know the specific situation of Naruto, you have to really resurrect first, so let's talk less about small talk now. Uzumaki Kushina heard Lei Luo's words, nodded and calmed down his excitement. Then Kushina said to Lei Luo-kun, please. Lei Luo shook his head and replied, you're welcome. In order to truly revive you, I have to disarm the impure world reincarnation technique, and revive you before your soul leaves this body, but before you return to the underworld. You have to be ready. Kushina nodded and said, I'm ready, come on. Looking at Kushina's calm expression, Lei Luo knew that she was ready, and immediately started the resurrection. Z. Ugly. Shen. Yin. Chen. Hai. Impure World Reincarnation Solution. With the completion of the Lei Luo hand seal, Kushina's Impure World Reincarnation's body began to turn to ashes. Kushina's soul escaped from the body, and the gate to the underworld has opened in the sky. Just as Kushina's soul drifted towards the gate of the underworld, Lei Luo mobilized the chakra on his body and released the light of awakening towards Kushina's soul. A dazzling but mysterious light shot out of Lei Luo's hands and enveloped Kushina's soul. Under the illumination of the light of awakening, Kushina's soul began to change from the virtual to the real from the foot, and soon the whole person became a reality, and Kushina was truly resurrected. Kushina slowly fell to the ground, the light of awakening dissipated at the moment of landing, and the resurrection was successful. Namikaze Minato looked at Kushina, who fell to the ground, and went up to support him, and asked, Kushina, how are you feeling now? Kushina clenched her fist, shook her head, moved her body, and replied, Minato, I feel very good now. King Kong chains. In an instant, several chakra chains drilled out of Kushina's body, commanding like an arm under Kushina's control. Kushina retracted the chain into his body and said, I don't have that little fox in my body now, there is no difference. Namikaze Minato smiled at Kushina and said, that's good. That's good. Then Namikaze Minato turned his head to Lei Luo and said, Lei Luo-kun, thank you. Kushina also expressed gratitude to Lei Luo. Lei Luo waved his hand and said, don't be so polite, after all, I'm Naruto's adoptive father, and everyone is a family. Then Lei Luo saw that Namikaze Minato was about to remove the barrier, and quickly stopped her. Minato-kun, don't worry, let's get rid of the traces here. Besides, there is one more thing you need to remember. That is, the identities of you and Kushina cannot be revealed yet. Namikaze Minato nodded to understand, but Kushina didn't know these things. So Kushina asked, why can't we reveal our identity? I still want to meet Naruto. Lei Luo could answer, Namikaze Minato took the lead to explain to Kushina. Kushina, you should remember the masked man who appeared when you gave birth. It was he who lifted the seal, pulled Kyuubi, Nine Tails, out of your body, and then controlled Kyuubi, Nine Tails, to wreak havoc in the village. I've been looking for him outside since my resurrection, but nothing has come of it. In order to make some changes happen, we will also leave some help for the village. We must hide for the time being until we find this masked man. Kushina pouted and said, then what if I want to see Naruto? Lei Luo replied, Naruto has always lived with me. You can meet Naruto if you want. You can act as your friend, just like Minato. Minato meets Naruto as an Anbu friend of Minato's, codename Flash. You can do that too, but you can't show up in front of Jiraiya and Tsunade. Kushina nodded and replied, I understand, then I will be Kushina's best friend from now on, codenamed Chili, just like Minato. Lei Luo listened to Kushina's words with black lines. The couple really didn't have any talent in naming names, but it didn't matter. Anyway, they basically only appeared in front of Naruto. After a few years, when the Fourth Ninja World War begins, they will no longer have to hide their identities. And because he is working with Akatsuki now, it is possible that the Fourth Ninja War will break out earlier. But it is precisely because of the reason that he has made so many changes, that Jiraiya will definitely not die in Nagato's hands again, which is still very good. After all, when Lei Luo saw Jiraiya dead in his previous life, he still shed tears. The barrage floating on the screen, Yulong Angelica in the sea does not welcome me Jiraiya, can't help but make people sigh. Lei Luo shook his head, got rid of his chaotic thoughts, and replied to Kushina, since you understand these things, let's erase the traces here now, and then we can leave. You husband and wife can also live in the two-person world. When Naruto comes back from the task, you can come to the house for dinner and meet Naruto. Minato also kept a lot of photos of Naruto, and recorded many important moments of Naruto, all for you to see. Uzumaki Kushina nodded when he heard Lei Luo's words, and turned to look at Namikaze Minato with tenderness in his eyes. Then the three erased all traces of the scene. Minato lifted the barrier, took back all the swords of forbearance and love, and then the three separated and left. A year later, Konoha Village, Lei Luo Psychic Animal Shop. Lei Luo is looking at the store bored and lazy. Now most of the psychic beasts in the store have been sold, and now the main business of the store is some supplies of psychic beasts. But Lei Luo didn't care, because when he was out of the village again before, he accidentally encountered Cardo, the rich man who Naruto and the others encountered in the mission of the Land of Waves in the original novel. Cardo didn't know Lei Luo's identity and was very arrogant in front of Lei Luo. So Lei Luo sent him to see the Six Paths Immortal, and then accepted his cash property. So Lei Luo is also a rich man now. Just as Lei Luo was leaning against the counter to take a nap, a man with a silver hair mask walked into the store. Chapter 164-New Chunin Exam Prelude. Lei Luo-kun. Lei Luo raised his head, looked at the man with a mask in silver who walked into the store, and replied. Yo, Kakashi, what's the matter? That's right, the person who entered the store was Kakashi. Kakashi looked at Lei Luo and said, Lei Luo-kun, I came to you this time because of Naruto. Lei Luo asked with some doubts, what about Naruto? What happened to Naruto? Kakashi replied, Naruto is fine, I just came to ask if you want him to take the Chunin exam. Lei Luo relaxed again and replied, I thought it was something. Isn't it the Chunin exam? Let him go. I remember that this Chunin exam was held in our Konoha. Tsunade asked me a few days ago if I wanted to be an examiner. Kakashi nodded and replied, yes, this Chunin exam was held by our Konoha, and even Kurigakure Village sent someone to participate in this Chunin exam. Kurigakure Village. Lei Luo became interested after hearing this. Lei Luo remembers that Naruto's Chunin exam was just Orochimaru doing things in the original book, and Hokage was an old Sarutobi at that time, but now Hokage is Tsunade, Leiluo is also in the village, Orochimaru will definitely not dare to do things again. And another reason Orochimaru did things at the beginning was because he wanted Sasuke to be his container, because he was abused once by Uchiha Itachi with Tsukuyomi when he was in Akatsuki. But now Uchiha Itachi has not defected and has not encountered Orochimaru. There is also Leiluo, but I remember the Chunin exam in the original book, but no one from Kurigakure village came to take it. Could it be that Obito wants to do something this time? Leiluo thought to himself. Kakashi asked. Yes, this time, Kurigakure village also sent people to participate, that is, people from the 5 countries came. This is an opportunity for the 5 countries to show their strength. It seems that Kurigakure village may also want to make some changes. Quote. Leiluo nodded and replied, I know about this. Naruto will take the Chunin exam and let him go. I'll also be there to watch the game. If nothing happens, don't worry. Kakashi nodded, turned and walked out the door of the Psychic Beast shop. Fire Nation, Konoha Village, 7th Class Training Ground. Naruto, Jinchuriki column, Sakura are practicing in the training ground. Sakura is, as always, the little fangirl of the second Jinchuriki column son, but Naruto is no longer Sakura's licking dog. Under the intentional guidance of Leiluo, the relationship between Naruto and Hinata is much better than at this time in the original book. After all, Yuhi is now Leiluo's woman. Yuhi is Hinata's team leader Jonin, and he often brings Hinata and the others to eat at home, which increases the chances of Naruto and Hinata getting in touch. At this moment, Kakashi suddenly appeared in the training ground. Kakashi-sensei, is there a new mission here? Naruto asked, looking at Kakashi who appeared. Kakashi shook his head, took out 3 pieces of paper from his body, and said, there is no new task, but the Chunin exam is about to be held. I ask the 3 of you if you want to take it. Kakashi finished speaking. Naruto hurriedly replied, of course I will participate. As Naruto spoke, he wanted to reach for the application form in Kakashi's hand. But Kakashi avoided Naruto's outstretched hand and said, you can't do it alone, it's based on the team. When Naruto heard the words, he turned his head and shouted to the 2 Jinchuriki column and Sakura, Sasuke, Sakura, you are also going to take the Chunin exam, right? The second Jinchuriki column nodded after hearing Naruto's words, and replied, of course I want to take the Chunin exam. Sakura hesitated, looked at Sasuke, then bit Kiba and made up his mind, and began to say, since Sasuke and Naruto are both participating, then I will too. Very good. Kakashi handed the application form to Naruto at this time, and said, since all 3 of you have agreed to take the Chunin exam, then fill out this application form now. Naruto took the form, handed it over to Jinchuriki column C and Sakura, and after the 3 completed the application form, Naruto took it back to Kakashi again. Kakashi looked at the application form, and then said, then you should train hard and prepare. The Chunin exam will start in a month, and people from various countries will be sent to participate. Don't be ashamed at that time. After that, Kakashi left the training ground using the telekinesis technique again. The Land of Fire, Konoha Village, Hokage Building. Master Tsunade, this is the application for the 7th Class 1 lead, and they all have to take the Chunin exam this time. Kakashi handed the application form to Tsunade and said lightly. Just before Kakashi, Guy, Asuma, Yuhi also submitted the Chunin exam application for the team they led. But Iruka, who was standing beside Tsunade, objected. Lord Hokage, Mr. Guy, the 3rd class he led graduated from the last class, and it is understandable to take the Chunin exam now, but Naruto and the others have just graduated for a year, how can they take the Chunin exam? Before Tsunade could speak, Kakashi retorted first. Teacher Iruka, I know you are doing it for Naruto and the others, but Naruto and the others are under my leadership this year. I know their current strength better than you. Also, I have already asked Leiluo-kun, and Leiluo-kun also agreed that Naruto will take the Chunin exam. Asuma and Yuhi also responded. Yes, we all believe in the strength of our squad. They are enough to take the Chunin exam. Lord Lei Luo also agrees. Well, let's hope Naruto and the others can successfully pass the Chunin exam. Uruka's father was Lei Luo's head teacher. After Lei Luo came back from the QB Nine Tails Chaos, he also visited Uruka and occasionally pointed out Uruka, so Uruka was also very convinced of Lei Luo. Okay, then let's settle it like this. I agree with the applications of the teams you led to take the Chunin exam. Tsunade saw that several people in the office had already unified their opinions, and naturally he would not object. That's nothing, you can all go back, you all strengthen the training of your respective teams, and when everyone takes the test, show me the style of our Konoha. Have you heard everything? Tsunade patted the table and said with high spirits, she also has a certain understanding of the strength of this new generation, and she still believes in their strength. Hi, everyone said in succession. Then they left the Hokage office one by one. Uruka returned to the ninja school, and Kakashi and Yuhi both went to the training grounds of their respective teams, preparing to give team members a pre-exam assault training. Chapter 165-New Chunin Exam Part 1. A month passed quickly, and people from other villages had already arrived one after another. This time, the 7th class did not encounter Gaara team, and there was no conflict, and among the school team members sent by Kurigakure village, the only one Lei Luo had heard of was Changjiro. Today is the day when the Chunin exam begins. Chunin exams are the same as always, with written exams plus intelligence gathering, team duels, and individual duels. Hurry up, I'm going to be late. Naruto hurriedly ran out of the Lei Luo Psychic Beast shop to meet the two Jinchuriki Column C and Sakura. By the time Naruto arrived at the first exam room, the second Jinchuriki Column and Sakura were already waiting at the door. I'm sorry, I'm late. Naruto apologized embarrassedly to the two Jinchuriki Column sons. Sasuke waved his hand and replied, "It's okay, let's hurry in, or we'll be really late." Sasuke, who has a harmonious family, is not as unfriendly as in the original book. On the contrary, after the teams running in over the past year, the relationship between the three of the team is still good. Naruto nodded when he heard the words, and walked into the exam building together with Sasuke. I remember our exam room is at 301. Naruto turned to Sasuke and asked. Sasuke nodded and replied, "That's right, at 301. Quote. Then he said to the two Chunins guarding the stairs, "You two should get out of the way. Who can hide such a simple demonic illusion?" Sasuke said this because the stairs leading to the third floor had been disguised as a door to a room by demonic illusion, which was a preliminary screening for those who took the Chunin exam. If you can't even see through this simple demonic illusion, you won't be eligible to take the Chunin exam. But Sasuke's words helped Little Lee, who had been waiting beside him. Little Lee can't use all kinds of ninjutsu and demonic illusion except taijutsu, and he can't find the real location of the stairs at all. Little Lee followed the 7th class to the 3rd floor, and then thanked Sasuke. "Thank you, I will definitely be merciful when the two of us fight." Sasuke was quite happy to hear the first half of his thanks, but the second half made Sasuke full of black lines. Sasuke looked at Little Lee's gleaming Kiba teeth, and felt that this guy must be out of his mind, so he didn't pay much attention to Little Lee and walked directly into the exam room. Lei Luo promised Naruto that he would watch Chunin's exams. He naturally wouldn't break his promise. But Lei Luo didn't observe as an examiner, but stayed on the roof of the examination room building, turned on all 5 visions, and watched the situation in the classroom below. This look made Lei Luo see a familiar person, Yakushi Kabuto. Yakushi Kabuto is still from Orochimaru, right? I didn't expect Orochimaru to be so daring to let Yakushi Kabuto stay in Konoha to collect information. Does he think I don't know Yakushi Kabuto's identity? But for Lei Luo, the current Yakushi Kabuto can only be regarded as a small role, it doesn't matter. But this time, the village of Odogakure in Orochimaru didn't send anyone to take the Chunin exam. seeing that Orochimaru guy doesn't have any plans for Konoha collapse this time. Lei Luo placed a reclining chair on the roof, basking in the sun, and watching the various small movements of the candidates below, still very conscious. The examiner for the first round of the Chunin exam is still Lei Luo's former classmate, Morino Ibiki. He had a huge scar on his face before on the battlefield, and he looked a bit fierce, and after working in the torture department for so many years, he naturally carried a fierce aura. For these candidates, it is still very stressful to be stared at by such an examiner. But for someone with a big nerve like Naruto, this is a small problem. In the first exam, Naruto still passed so smoothly, and this time, he did not rely on the 10th question to choose, he reached the pass line entirely by his own strength. After all, Lei Luo taught him a lot of things, and he didn't want to see Naruto just talk. Immediately afterwards, Lei Luo saw the second test examiner, Mitarashi Anko, appear. I have to say that Anko wearing fishnet stockings is still a bit sexy, but when he thinks that he will become a Yuhi potato in the future, he has no feeling at all. When Anko took the candidates who passed the first exam to the Forest of Death, Lei Luo left directly and returned to the Psychic Beast shop. Because he had already determined that Orochimaru did not make any small moves this time, the second exam would not be a problem for the 7th class, whose actual combat ability was stronger than theoretical ability. Moreover, the competition for the Scroll of Death Forest World in the second exam will last for 5 days, so there is no need to follow it. Now you just have to wait until the third round of the exam. If there are more people left in the second round, you can also go and see the preliminaries before the third round. As expected by Lei Luo, Naruto successfully passed the second exam 5 days later, and happily returned to the Psychic Beast shop to announce the good news to him. And also told him a message, that is, tomorrow is the qualifier for the third test. The remaining number of people in the qualifiers is basically the same as the list at the time in the original book, except that the 3 Otogakur were changed into 3 Kurigakur ninjas, and Chanjuro was naturally among the 3. Okay Naruto, you should have a good rest today. It's not comfortable to stay in the Forest of Death for 5 days. I'll go back and watch the qualifiers tomorrow. Lei Luo touched Naruto's head and said with a smile. Naruto's current height is only 2 heads short of Lei Luo, and it is estimated that he may be able to catch up with Lei Luo in a few years. At that time, Lei Luo won't be able to touch Naruto's head like this. When Naruto heard Lei Luo's words, he was very happy and happily replied, "Yes, Uncle Lei Luo." Then he ran back to his room upstairs. He would have a good rest and prepare to show his best side in front of Lei Luo tomorrow. The next day, Lei Luo followed Naruto to the qualifier examination room, and then sat on the stand to watch today's game. The first game in the original book should be Uchiha Sasuke vs. Otogakur's red copper armor, but now Otogakur has not come, and the opponent of the 2 Jinchuriki column children has become the dragon armor of Kurigakur village. Although it is a dragon suit, the dragon suit armor is very arrogant, and said to Sasuke in a gloomy tone. "You're a ninja from the Uchiha clan. I'll let you know that your Sharingan has no role in my ninjutsu." Then I saw the hand seal in the hand of Kurigakur's dragon armor, and the field was shrouded in mist in an instant. The art of Kurigakur. Ha ha ha, I'm the existence known as the Little Devil, in Kurigakur village, Uchiha's Gaidai. The voice of the dragon armor came from all directions in the fog, making Sasuke unable to determine his location for a while. But the words of the dragon armor made Sasuke very unhappy. "Little Devil, next, I'll make you a ghost." Chapter 166-New Chunin Exam Medium. Although Sasuke was unhappy, he was not impatient, because he knew that in order to crack the technique of Kurigakur, apart from bombarding with a wide range of ninjutsu, the easiest thing was to respond to changes with the same constant. As long as the dragon armor launches an attack, Sasuke will seize the opportunity, find his position, and kill him in one hit. Sasuke turned on Sharingan and stared at the movement around him closely. The Kurigakure dragon armor saw that Sasuke hadn't attacked for so long, and he would consume chakra to maintain the Kurigakure technique. In particular, the training ground is not a place with sufficient water sources, and more chakras are needed to maintain the Kurigakure technique under the sun, which makes the dragon armor inevitably a little anxious. Suddenly, the dragon armor's eyes lit up, and he found that Sasuke revealed a flaw, and seized the opportunity to attack directly with a knife. It's a pity, this flaw was deliberately revealed to him by Sasuke, just to lure him to attack. When the dragon armor just appeared, Sasuke was ready, and the right hand held the kunai to directly block the dragon armor. Then the Raiden Thunder-style chakra in the left hand condensed and made a noisy sound, like countless birds screaming. This is Chidori. Lei Luo was a little surprised to see this trick in the stance, but Sasuke had already learned this trick and was able to use it proficiently. It seems that Kakashi should have taught Sasuke long ago. Lei Luo turned on the 5-vision omnipotence. The Kurigakure technique of the dragon armor did not block his sight in the slightest, and he could clearly see the situation off the field. Sasuke showed no mercy to the ninjas in Kurigakure village. His left hand directly pierced the abdomen of the Kurigakure dragon armor, which also paralyzed his entire body, and the technique of Kurigakure could no longer be maintained. Kurigakure dissipated, and the referee saw the situation on the field and announced. The first game, Uchiha Sasuke wins. Medical class, take the ninja from Kurigakure village to Konoha Hospital. The second game, Hyuga Neji vs Hyuga Hinata, please play. The second game was nothing to watch at all. Hinata was still defeated by Neji. Although Lei Luo also coached Hinata, her temperament was still too weak and needed a transformation. The third game, Akamichi Choji vs Kurigakure Dragon Set B, please play. This Kurigakure ninja's strength is obviously mostly in physical skills, and he had a bloody fight with Choji, but his mouth was too cheap, and he even called Choji a dead fat man. Playing a chariot taught him to be a man. In the fourth game, Little Lee played against Gaara. Little Lee showed his brilliance, but he still lost to Gaara. However, when Little Lee was in a critical moment, Lei Luo rescued him, avoiding the risk of him being paralyzed. In the fifth game, Aburame Shino played against Kankuro. Although Shino's presence is very low, his strength is not low, and Shino is actually very restrained by puppet masters. Before Kankuro's puppet could exert its power, Shino's parasites controlled the joints, and then they had no choice but to admit defeat. In the sixth game, it was finally Naruto's turn to play, but this time Naruto won't win by farts like in the original book. Only the referee shouted loudly. In the sixth game, Uzumaki Naruto vs Inuzuka Kiba, please play both sides. The two sides quickly entered the field to prepare, forming a seal of confrontation. Inuzuka Kiba looked at Naruto and said excitedly, Naruto, I have improved a lot this year, be careful not to lose to me. Naruto replied excitedly, ha ha ha, I didn't relax either, the winner this time must be me. Inuzuka Kiba shouted, Akamaru. Let's go. Akamaru replied, wow. As soon as the words fell, Inuzuka Kiba used the Beast Ninja technique. Four-legged technique, and Akamaru attacked Naruto from left to right. I'm not afraid of you. Naruto shouted. Then, he avoided the attack of one person and one dog in a flash, and then a Konoha whirlwind kicked Akamaru out. Holding the hand seal in his hand, more than a dozen Naruto appeared in the arena. Multiple shadow clone technique. The current Naruto does not want to be like in the original work, releasing countless clones in one brain, and as a result, he is stuck in his own position. In fact, for a person to fight, it is the most appropriate to divide up 8 clones to fight, so that everyone has a chance to take action. So the next second, Inuzuka Kiba and Akamaru were surrounded by a dozen or so Naruto. Inuzuka Kiba defends from left to right. Every time a Naruto clone is scattered, Naruto will summon another one. Inuzuka Kiba also knows that this is not the way to go. So Inuzuka Kiba shouted at Akamaru. Akamaru uses that trick. Wong. Beast Ninja. Kiba pass Kiba. Inuzuka Kiba and Akamaru seemed to have turned into two hurricanes, and then merged together, knocking off all Naruto's clones at once, and then rushed towards Naruto. Naruto watched the rushing whirlwind without dodging or evading. The chakra condensed in his right hand spun wildly, and with one move, Rasengan pressed Kiba on Kiba. In an instant, Inuzuka Kiba and Akamaru were knocked out. Fortunately, Naruto's Rasengan wasn't too powerful, and he only slightly injured one person and one dog. Cough cough. Inuzuka Kiba got up from the ground, looked at Naruto and said, "Naruto-kun, your strength has improved very quickly. This time I lost again, but I will not give up. Next time I will definitely defeat you." Naruto nodded and signed a sign of reconciliation with Inuzuka Kiba with a smile on his face. At this moment, Lei Luo seemed to see Minato's shadow on Naruto. The referee announced loudly after seeing that the two had received the seal of reconciliation. Game 6, Naruto Uzumaki wins. Naruto ran up to the stand and excitedly said to Lei Luo, "Uncle Lei Luo, how is it? My strength is not bad." Lei Luo smiled and looked at Naruto and replied, "Well, it's not bad. Your strength is already in the top 3 among the ninjas present." Hearing this, Naruto lowered his face and said, "Ah. Only the top 3. Lei Luo opened his mouth and replied, "Don't underestimate other people. You saw it just now. The little panda with a gourd on its back from Sunagakure village is no weaker than you." Naruto pouted and replied, "Okay, okay." Lei Luo touched Naruto's head and said, "Okay, now that we have won, let's watch other people's competition here, and it can be regarded as getting to know your opponent." Naruto nodded, then sat obediently beside Lei Luo. In the 7th game, Sakura Haruno played against Yamanaka Ino. Just like in the original book, the two sisters came up with a fight, which could be called a large-scale friendship overturning scene, and then the two sides pecked at each other until they were exhausted, and they both fainted. As a result, both were eliminated. Game 8, Nara Shikamaru vs. Nagajiro. Both sides please play. Hearing the referee shouting loudly, Shikamaru walked into the arena with a helpless expression and couldn't help complaining. "Oh, it's really troublesome." Chapter 167-New Chunin Exam Part 2. Nagajiro looked at Shikamaru, who was a dick, and he was indeed a great enemy. Although his strength was not bad, he had also heard of the name of the Nara family, and knew that the Nara family had a special shadow secret technique, and also had a very high IQ. At the beginning of the duel, Chojuro directly opened the position between Nara Shikamaru and Nara Shikamaru to prevent being manipulated by Shikamaru's shadow imitation technique. Nara Shikamaru was impatient, he still had to fight, and when he raised his hand, several kunai shot at Chojuro. Nagajiro waved his double knife flounder and easily blocked Kuwu. However, Shikamaru immediately released the shadow imitation technique after holding the hand seal in his hand. Chojuro could not help but breathe a sigh of relief as he watched the shadow under Shikamaru's feet continue to stretch, but in the end it was still some distance away from him. Flamfish. Liberation. I saw Chojuro injecting chakra into the flounder in his hand, and the flounder immediately split into 2, and then with Chojuro waved forward, several energy light balls attacked Shikamaru. Shikamaru wouldn't sit still and flashed Gong-Lade's ball of light directly, while his body kept dashing in the direction of Chojuro. Nagajiro knew in his heart that Shikamaru could never get close to the range of the shadow manipulation technique, so he kept pulling Shikamaru's shadow in mind just now. At the same time, the double knife flounder in his hand waved again. Flamfish. Blood mist knife technique. Bone pulling. Immediately, countless light thorns flew out of the flounder and attacked Shikamaru's joints, trying to control Shikamaru. Lei Luo looked at Chojuro's move, and his eyes lit up. "I didn't expect Flounder to have this trick. Yes, copy it." For Lei Luo, who has a light escape, this inspiration can allow him to develop a lot of light escape restraint ninjutsu, and this Chunin exam is not in vain. But in the face of Chonjuro's attack, Shikamaru directly used the substitute technique to dodge, and then the next moment Changjiro found that his body could not move. Shadow mimicry. Success. I saw a thin shadow connecting Shikamaru and Chojuro, and then the shadow continued to climb up Chojiro's body, and then stopped on Chojiro's neck. I admit, I lost. Chojuro spit out a few words with difficulty, and then he felt his body throw away, and Shikamaru had already retracted the shadow. The referee came to the stage at this time to announce the result of the match. The 8th game, Nara Shikamaru wins. When Changjiro heard the referee's announcement, he couldn't help but feel a little depressed. Hey, how should I explain to Terumi Mai-sama when I go back? And Tsunade in the stands couldn't help but nodded when he saw Shikamaru's performance, and then said to Nara Shikaku next to him, Shikaku, your Shikamaru is doing well, it has your style. Nara Shikamaru replied in a low voice, where, Shikamaru is still far behind. Tsunade continued, it's just that Shikamaru's temperament is a little too lazy, and he doesn't have the vigor of young people at all. Nara Shikaku sighed and replied, Epsilon equals Omicron, oh, I have a headache on this point too, but there's nothing I can do. Tsunade smiled and replied, it's okay, he will grow up one day. At this time, the referee has already started to call the ninja candidates of the 9th game to play. The 9th game, 10-10 versus. Tamari, please play. Tamari came up, he started taunting and said, Konoha ninja on the opposite side, you are not my opponent, you should take the initiative to admit defeat, or it will be bad to get injured later. 10-10 snorted coldly to show you my strength, and instantly took out dozens of kunai, senbon, and shuriken from his ninja bag and shot them at Tamari. Tamari looked at the various ninja tools flying in, without panic at all, and unfolded his big fan with his backhand. Futon, wind style. 1 star. Quote. In an instant, the wind whistled around Tamari, spinning beside him, knocking down all the ninja tools attacked by the 10-10. The wind dissipated, Tamari propped up the fan with one hand, and said with a relaxed expression, do you only have this little strength? Just admit defeat. 10-10 ignored Tamari's taunt and took out 2 seal scrolls from the ninja kit. Tamari looked at the scene and said, stop struggling, you're useless no matter what. Then 10-10 snorted coldly. Shuangshanglong. The sealed scroll in his hand quickly unfolded, and 10-10 rose from the ground and flew in the air. In the next second, the seemingly endless ninja tools flew out of the scroll and attacked Tamari. Humph, let's see how you block this time. 10-10 thought to himself. Tamari lifted the fan again, looked at 10-10 and said, it's useless. No matter how many you have. Futon, wind style. 2 stars. Quote. The hurricane condensed in front of Tamari, forming a wind barrier, blocking the 10-10's attack again. 10-10 bit Kiba and said coldly, it's not over yet. Then, countless chakra threads spread out from 10-10's fingers, controlling all the ninja tools on the ground to stop in the air, and then with a wave of both hands, the ninja tools attacked Tamari again. At this moment, a smile appeared on 10-10's face. Success. But Tamari squinted his eyes and waved his fan again, and the wind suddenly reversed, and both the reinforcement tool and the 10-10 were blown out. Futon, wind style. 3 stars. Quote. Then the fan turned, and Tamari disappeared from the field. 10-10's pupils shrank, and he was shocked. Disappeared. Where? 10-10 looked around for Tamari's figure, but at this time, a voice came from behind 10-10. I'm here. Oops. 10-10's thought flashed through his mind, then turned his head immediately, watching Tamari fly over her head on a fan. Ninja. Kama Itachi. Tamari landed in front of 10-10, waving the fan in his hand continuously, and countless small tornadoes appeared in the field, wrapping 10-10. Ah! 10-10's body was suddenly torn with countless wounds, and the pain on her body couldn't help making her cry out. 10-10. Little Lee in the stands was a little excited when he saw this, and Lei Luo couldn't watch his own people being so abused by people from other villages. The next second, Lei Luo appeared on the field, holding Hiranmaru in his right hand and slashing forward. Breath of water *1 form *water surface slash. He slashed the tornado with a single knife, but Tenten had already passed out. Then Lei Luo carried the chakra, and pressed Tenten with a soft light in his hand. Light escape. Light therapy. The torn wound on Tenten's body healed almost instantly, and then Lei Luo carried Tenten back to the stand and handed Tenten to Guy. Lei Luo-kun, thank you. Guy shouted to Lei Luo. The off-court referee has announced the result of the game. Game 9, Tamari victory. This is the end of the qualifiers, and the third official match will start in a month. Chapter 168_New Chunin Exam Finals Part 1. A month passed quickly, and today is the official start of the third Chunin exam. The daimyo of various countries also sent representatives to watch the battle, but Lei Luo did not find any representative of the daimyo of the Land of Water. Kurigakure has sent people to participate in the competition, but it is very strange that daimyo of the Land of Water did not send a representative to watch the ceremony. What the hell is Obito trying to do? Lei Luo wondered. Just then, Tsunade started her speech. Dear viewers, thank you for coming to watch the Chunin exam held by our Konoha Shinobi village. Now, I announce that the third round of the Chunin exam officially begins. With the announcement of Tsunade, the third exam officially began. The examiner for the third exam was still Moonlight Hayate. In a blink of an eye, Moonlight Hayate appeared in the field, coughing dryly from time to time, looking like a kidney deficiency. But since Orochimaru is not doing anything now, then Moonlight Hayate will definitely not die in Maki's hands. In this way, although Lei Luo robbed Yugao, he saved his life, and Moonlight Hayate made a profit. Ahem, hello everyone, I'm Moonlight Hayate, the examiner for the third exam. Moonlight Hayate said. Then next is the first group of players, Nara Shikamaru vs. Tamari. Players from both sides please come on stage. Shikamaru heard Moonlight Hayate announce his name, his whole person became even more decadent. Ah, it's so troublesome, it's me in the first game, or else I'll admit defeat. I feel like I shouldn't be the opponent of that violent woman, so it's okay to admit defeat. Shikamaru's team leader, Jonan Asuma, heard Shikamaru's words and couldn't help but twitch at the corners of his eyes. Other students are thinking about how to show their style and how to win. Why do they think about admitting defeat when they come to you? I can't make other Jonan laugh to death by admitting defeat like this. At this time, Tamari was already standing in the field, looking in Shikamaru's direction and shouting, "Hey, that pineapple head, if you can't get down, if you don't get down, you will admit defeat." Shikamaru heard the words and was about to admit defeat, but Asuma saw it and kicked him down. Boom! Shikamaru plunged straight into the ground, and many people watching couldn't help laughing at this scene. Asuma looked at Yuhi with an old face and thought in his heart, "Shikamaru, you stinky boy, wait for me, I will definitely increase your training volume tenfold." Although the Asuma award Shikamaru kicked into the field, Shikamaru is clearly the head iron. I saw that he slowly raised his hand, waved it gently, and said, "I admit defeat." Cut. Tamari heard Shikamaru admit defeat, cut with disdain, and then walked out of the field. Moonlight Hayate appeared again and announced the result. Group 1, Tamari victory. The second group of contestants, Akamichi Choji vs. Aburame Shino. Choji, who was eating potato chips, heard that his opponent turned out to be Shino, so he raised his hand and muttered, "I also admit defeat." The Asuma next to him has a black line, and the two disciples who entered the finals even conceded defeat. This fuck is all a ghost, and they are all targeting me Asuma. Many spectators off the field also voiced their dissatisfaction, but Moonlight Hayate still took the stage to announce the result. Second group, Aburame Shino wins. The third group, Uzumaki Naruto vs. Hyuga Neji. Naruto next to Lei Luo heard Moonlight Hayate calling out his name and jumped into the arena impatiently. Kakashi and Lei Luo both have black lines. When will Naruto stabilize his focus? Hyuga Neji also followed closely into the field, and the two sides formed a seal of opposition. Then Naruto raised his hand and shot a few kunai at Hyuga Neji, but Neji's eyes burst with blue veins, which directly opened by Akugan, and then easily blocked Naruto's attack. Konoha Fluid Art. Gang Force Whirlwind. Naruto appeared on top of Neji's head in an instant, but he was instantly avoided by Neji, and then the two sides attacked each other with dozens of physical techniques, but they couldn't get the other side. Although Naruto's taijutsu was taught by Lei Luo, the Hyuga clan where Neji belongs to is a family heirloom of taijutsu. The two sides retreated sharply, and then formed a confrontation again. Naruto, your strength is good, but you're still a little worse than me. I'm going to start getting serious. Neji looked at and said coldly. Then Neji rushed directly in front of Naruto in the next second, and pointed his finger directly on Naruto's acupuncture point. Not good, Naruto exclaimed as he felt the chakra flowing slowly in his body. But Lei Luo told him how to deal with Neji after all, so he wasn't too panicked. I saw the hand seal in Naruto's hand, and the multiple shadow clone technique was instantly released. A dozen or so Naruto surrounded Neji, blocking Neji's combo, and Naruto's body took the opportunity to distance himself from Neji. Let's fight him with ninjutsu now. It's easy to get acupuncture points from him at close range. Then Naruto hand sealed again, opened his mouth, and a huge wind blade spit out from Naruto's mouth, attacking Neji. Futon, wind style. Daitapa, great breakthrough. Quote. Naruto's ability to use ninjutsu so smoothly now has a lot to do with Lei Luo, not only because he taught Naruto ninjutsu, but also because Lei Luo strengthened the seal of Kyuubi, Nine Tails. In this way, the chakra of Kyuubi, Nine Tails, will not interfere with Naruto. As a Naruto of the Uzumaki family, he can keep up with the nutrition when he was a child, and his own chakra volume is also very sufficient. When Naruto's strength is stronger and he can control Kyuubi, Nine Tails, chakra to a certain extent, Lei Luo will help him loosen the seal. This is the best way for Naruto. Otherwise there will be interference from Kyuubi, Nine Tails. It is too difficult for Naruto to exercise chakra control, and Minato may be exposed because of Kyuubi, Nine Tails, induction. Neji looked at the wind blade that Naruto spit out, and easily dodged away. Then Neji said to Naruto, "It's useless, my strength is higher than yours, you have no chance of winning, accept your fate of failure." With a slight smile on Naruto's mouth, he said, "Neji, you must be too confident. My strength is not limited to this. It was just a simple test. Next, let you try my true strength." And then the crazy hand seal in his hand, he didn't pull down this basic skill. Futon, wind style. 1,000 faces. Quote. Immediately afterwards, countless small wind blades spit out from Naruto's mouth and attacked Neji. Neji knew in his heart that he would definitely not be able to escape, so he could only resist. Then only use this trick. Neji's eyes widened, and chakra spewed out from various acupoints in his body. 8 trigrams palm. Revolving heaven. Chapter 169_New Chunin Exam Finals, Medium. Gushing out of Hyuga Neji instantly formed a rotating energy shield, blocking all the wind blades that Naruto attacked. Hyuga Hiyashi in the stands was a little surprised by Hyuga Neji's move. Is this kid actually able to use Revolving Heaven? As expected of the genius of our Hyuga clan. Then Hyuga Hiyashi turned to his younger brother, Hyuga Hazashi, the head of the branch family, and said, "Hazashi, it seems that you taught Neji very well." Hyuga Hazashi smiled and replied, "Everywhere, Neji is just working hard enough." Because of Lei Luo, there was no Kumogakure mission to do anything this time, and Hyuga Neji's father Hyuga Hazashi did not die for Hyuga Hiyashi, but taught Neji with his heart. Neji's current state of breaking up with Hinata is all because of the bird in the cage, and he feels that his talent is so strong that he should be the main clan himself. That's why Neji was dissatisfied with the cowardly Miss Hinata, but he didn't hit so hard as in the original book. Otherwise, with Naruto's current strength, Neji beat his little daughter-in-law, and he would use all his strength to fuck him before he came up. At this moment, Naruto in the field attacked again. Naruto knows that his chakra is much higher than Neji, and Neji's revolving heaven consumes a lot of chakra, and it is estimated that he can only use it twice at most. So Naruto released Futon Wind Style Ninjutsu with Hand Seal. Futon Wind Style Vacuum Sphere. Countless Futon Wind Style light waves spit out from Naruto's mouth again and attacked Neji. No way, Neji had to use Revolving Heaven again to block this move. But after using Revolving Heaven for the second time, Neji's arms started to tremble slightly. Oops, the physical exertion is too high, and the chakras are not much, so I guess I can only use Revolving Heaven once again. Neji thought to himself. Neji's state at this time is almost as Naruto estimated. Naruto looked at Neji and even had the heart to mock him. Neji, don't you have enough chakra in your body now, who is about to lose now? Neji snorted coldly and replied, yes, I don't have much chakra, but you don't have much chakra. Naruto laughed and said, ha ha ha, you underestimate me too much, just let you see how many chakras I have. Futon Wind Style Vacuum Waves. In an instant, countless careful whirlwinds appeared in the field, sweeping towards Neji. Neji's face changed. Damn, why does this guy have so many chakras? This ninjutsu is even more powerful than the previous one. But the whirlwind was already in front of him, and there was no time for Neji to think about it anymore, so he could only release Revolving Heaven again, blocking this move. The whirlwind dissipated, and Neji's entire body was shaking, almost exhausted. Then Neji found a foot quickly enlarged in his eyes. He wanted to dodge, but his body was out of control, and the last kick was knocked out by Naruto. Moonlight Hayate came to the field in an instant and announced the results of the third group. The third group, Naruto Uzumaki wins. Next, there is the fourth group, Uchiha Sasuke vs. Gaara. Players from both sides are invited to play. Yeah, Naruto couldn't help cheering happily when he heard the result announced by Moonlight Hayate. Then Sasuke stepped down from the stand at this time. Naruto patted Sasuke on the shoulder and said with a smile, come on, Sasuke. I believe you can beat that little panda. Sasuke nodded, pulled out a smile, and walked into the arena. Naruto had already returned to the stand, watching the battle below, to see how strong the little panda that Uncle Leiluo praised was really. At the beginning of the duel, Sasuke retreated directly, opened the distance between Gaara, and then threw 3 shuriken to attack Gaara. But at this time, the gourd behind Gaara had opened, and the sand continued to pour out of the gourd. Around Gaara, Sasuke's shuriken was easily blocked by the sand. Seeing this, Sasuke charged directly towards Gaara and flew towards Gaara's head. But at this moment, a sand clone appeared in front of Gaara, blocked Sasuke's attack again, and wanted to wrap Sasuke with sand. Sasuke naturally wouldn't sit still, and directly worked hard to break up the sand clone. Then Sasuke's Sharingan turned on instantly, and at the same time, the speed suddenly soared, found a loophole in Gaara's defense, and kicked Gaara out with one kick. Gaara fell to the ground, with sand under her body as a buffer, and was basically uninjured. Sasuke was reluctant to see this, and rushed towards Gaara again, but the next second stopped suddenly. Because Gaara has hand seal controlled the sand to wrap his whole body, and then formed a hedgehog-shaped sandball. If Sasuke wants to continue to attack, he will be injured more seriously. Sasuke was not willing to give up like this, turned around and attacked from other angles. But no matter from which angle Sasuke attacks, it will be blocked by Gaara's manipulation of sand thorns. At this time, Sasuke looked up and found the eye of sand in the air. Gaara, who was in the sand ball, relied on it to observe the situation on the field. Immediately after Sasuke raised his hand, there were several shuriken, which directly shot the eye of sand in the air. Then while Gaara had not yet formed a new eye of sand, Hand Seal, the assistant, opened his mouth and spit, and a huge fireball attacked the sandball with a rolling heat wave. Kaden, fire style. Great fireball jutsu. Gaara, who was inside the sandball, felt a scorching heat, but the sandball blocked the move after all, and it did not have any effect on Gaara. What? Is the defense of this sandball so high? Sasuke's pupils shrank suddenly, and he was a little surprised. Grand Fireball only left a black mark on the sandball, but did not break the sandball. Then try this trick. Sasuke made up his mind with a certain look in his eyes. Ugly. Mao. Shin. With Sasuke's hand seal completed, Raiden Thunder style chakra condensed on his left hand and made a noisy bird chirping. It was Chidori. Sasuke's Sharingan stared at the sandball closely, and rushed to the sandball in an instant, and then Chidori with his left hand stabbed it hard. At this moment, a huge sand hand knocked Sasuke back, and the sandball also collapsed, revealing Gaara's figure. A penetrating wound appeared on the left shoulder, and blood was still flowing out. You can actually hurt me. Gaara touched the wound on his left shoulder with his right hand, and then looked at the blood on his right hand with a crazy look in his eyes. Very good. Now you are worth killing me. Chapter 170-New Chunin Exam Finals Part 2. As soon as the words fell, more sand poured out of the gourd behind Gaara. Then it merged with the chakra gushing out of Gaara's body, forming an armor with a ferocious sand claw on Gaara's body. Gaara's sanity fades away, and madness takes over. Is this the one-tailed Jinchuriki column force? Tsunade in the stands was surprised. She had already seen that the paw that Gaara appeared was Shukaku's paw. On the other hand, Jonin Maki, the leader of Sunagaker, was also nervous. If Gaara completely released Shukaku inside Konoha, it would be bad. It would probably make Konoha think that Sunagaker wanted to disrupt Konoha. Those high-ranking officials and nobles watched the battle off the field with interest, not knowing how dangerous it was now. Nara Shikaku whispered to Tsunade, Master Tsunade, do you want to suppress this Gaara now? Tsunade waved his hand and said, No, I heard that this child is Rasa's youngest son. I didn't expect Rasa to have this kind of courage and make his son a human Jinchuriki column force. Besides, it's just Shukaku, so he can't make waves in Konoha. Nara Shikamaru nodded, looked at Lei Luo with a calm face on the stage, and felt relieved. At this time, Gaara off the court has launched an attack on Sasuke, and now Gaara in this state has improved a lot as a whole. Gaara rushed to Sasuke almost instantly, and slapped Sasuke with his huge claws. Boom! A big pit appeared where Sasuke was standing, but Sasuke's Sharingan had already seen through Gaara's attack and dodged in advance. Gaara was reluctant to let go, and again came to assist Zuo. Kaden, fire style. Phoenix Sage fire technique. While dodging, Sasuke held the hand seal in his hand, and his mouth kept spitting out flames. Under Sasuke's control, he wanted to spare the sand claw and attack Gaara directly, but was blocked by Gaara with the sand claw. At this time, the entire venue was bumped by Gaara, and Sasuke was forced to have a smaller and smaller range of activities. Ha ha ha! Gaara laughed wildly as she looked at Sasuke who was running away. It can't go on like this. Sasuke felt that his physical energy was constantly declining, and his throat felt as if a piece of charcoal was in it, hot and dry. Sasuke lifted the chakra on his body and prepared for the final blow. Raiden Thunder style chakra once again condensed on Sasuke's left hand. Sharingan turned, staring at Gaara. It's now. Sasuke rushed towards Gaara in an instant. Chidori in his left hand stabbed into Gaara's body fiercely. Although Gaara dodged in time, his shoulder was pierced by Sasuke again. In an instant, his arm was in a drooping state. It was difficult to lift it up, and he could no longer hand seal. Severe pain from the wound on his shoulder spread into Gaara's brain, causing him to roar uncontrollably. Ah! Immediately afterwards, Gaara fell into a complete madness. The chakra in his body kept pouring out, and Shukaku was about to come out. Maki in the stands was also nervous. sweat dripping from his forehead. At this moment, Lei Luo shot, running chakra and entering the state of Buddha in an instant. Boom! Shukaku, who had just emerged, was slapped back by Lei Luo before he could take shape. Then Lei Luo instantly returned to his normal state, holding the hand seal in his hand and pressing it on Gaara's chest. Sealing technique. Seal of 4 elephants. Countless sealing techniques spread through Gaara's body from Lei Luo's hands, suppressing Shukaku. Shukaku yelled at Lei Luo inside Gaara's body and struggled, but it didn't work. So strong, Maki muttered as he looked at Lei Luo who was shooting. Tsunade saw that Lei Luo had already shot to suppress Gaara, and his tense body relaxed again. I don't know how strong Lei Luo-kun is now. He can suppress Shukaku so easily. Although it is only one tail, it is impossible to be suppressed so easily. Is Lei Luo's strength similar to that of his grandfather? Things had been suppressed, but now it was Moonlight Hayate's turn to have a headache, and he didn't know how to announce the result. Fortunately, Lei Luo solved the problem in time. Hayate-kun, this one was won by Gaara. Sasuke Uchiha has exhausted his chakra and can't fight again. Only then did Moonlight Hayate realize that Sasuke on the side had run out of chakra and passed out. So Moonlight Hayate nodded and announced the result of this match. Group 4, Gaara victory. Then it's time for the second round of competition. Aburame Shino vs. Temari. Uzumaki Naruto vs. Gaara. Just then, Sunagakure Village Jonin Maki suddenly said, "Wait. The second round of Gaara will count as abstention." Moonlight Hayate looked at Maki and asked in a deep voice, "Sunagakure Village Jonin, are you sure?" Maki nodded. Although Gaara's injury was not serious, he was very worried that Shukaku would run out again. Now that they have shown the strength of their Sunagakure village, there is no need for Gaara to compete anymore. As for Temari, it's nothing compared to one, and it won't get out of hand anyway. Moonlight Hayate confirmed Maki's decision and said, "Well, then Uzumaki Naruto will directly advance to the third round. Next, I invite Aburame Shino and Temari to play." Between Aburame Shino and Temari didn't last long. Although Temari's futon wind style level was good, it was somewhat restrained in the face of Shino, who could use bad bugs to devour chakra. Although Temari made protective measures beside him, Shino's parasites could not attack under the cyclone, but Temari's feet had no protection. Aburame Shino directly controlled the bug to burrow from the ground and climbed onto her body before Temari could find it. Next, Shino's bugs continued to devour Temari's chakra, and Temari could only reluctantly shout to admit defeat. Then came the third round. In the third round, Aburame Shino vs. Uzumaki Naruto, please play. As soon as Moonlight Hayate finished speaking, Naruto couldn't wait to jump into the arena. But I heard Aburame Shino say lightly, "I admit defeat." Ah! Naruto hugged his head and shouted, "Shino, how can you do this? I've waited so long, and I've given up before I beat you." Aburame Shino raised his hand and pushed his goggles, and said lightly, "Naruto, my number of bugs is running low, so I will definitely not be able to beat you this time." Okay. Naruto was a little dejected, not feeling the joy of victory at all. Now that Aburame Shino has conceded defeat, Moonlight Hayate can directly announce the result. Everyone, this is the end of the Chunin exam. The first place in this Chunin exam is Uzumaki Naruto. Author's digression. This is the Hokage in the author's mind. About Naruto, Namikaze Minato, Uzumaki Kushina family. The author reunites them in the book, giving Naruto a perfect home. I don't know how many people will like this plot. But, this is Hokage in my mind. By the way, the author, Kun, will develop a new book tomorrow. The genre is still Hokage. It is another Hokage with a different story. I hope you will continue to like and support it. Thank you. Chapter 171 Akatsuki's Shot. The Chunin exam came to an end, and people from all countries and villages left one after another. Originally, Lei Luo thought that Obito would do something, but nothing happened until the end. What does Obito mean? Is it simply sending people from Kurigakure village to take the Chunin exam? Lei Luo was very puzzled. But since nothing happened, it was naturally the best. After this Chunin exam, after discussion, the village decided that Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, and Nara Shikamaru would be promoted to Chunin. This changed the fate of Naruto Eternal Genin in the original novel. Lei Luo felt that the system should reward him with a few god-level lottery points. This can be regarded as a reversal of fate. But Lei Luo just thought about it and didn't tell the system, because he knew that if he told the system would definitely reply to him. You're thinking about farting. The days returned to their former calm, and Lei Luo seemed to have turned into a salted fish again, but the undercurrent of the ninja world had begun to surge. The Land of Rain, a Megakure village, Central Tower. Black Zetsu emerged from the ground. Absolutely, what's the matter with you? Pain looked at Black Zetsu and asked coldly. Seeing Pain's indifferent expression, Black Zetsu didn't have any dissatisfaction, and replied, Pain, it's time to start the plan. The one-tailed Jinchuriki column force has appeared. Oh, who? Pain asked. Black Zetsu smiled and replied, Sunagakure village Gaara, the son of the fourth generation Kazekage Rasa, this time went to Konoha to take the Chunin exam. Now that the Chunin exam is over, we can take action before they return to Sunagakure village. Just one leader, Jonin Maki, is no match for us at all. Pain nodded and said, yes. Let's send the Deidara team for this mission. You must inform them. Black Zetsu nodded, sneaked underground and left. The Land of Wind, the Nameless Desert. Sunagakure village Chunin examination. The group walked in the direction of Sunagakure village despite the wind and sand, and now they are not far from Sunagakure village. Gaara's expression was icy cold, and the atmosphere in the team was very solemn, and the others didn't even dare to show their air, for fear of angering Gaara. At this moment, Gaara suddenly opened his mouth and asked Maki, Hey, what's the name of the guy who suppressed me that day? Hearing Gaara's question, Maki replied indifferently, Konoha village elite Jonin Lei Luo. Gaara snorted coldly and said, Humph. I will kill him one day. Maki replied coldly, Gaara, although your strength is good, it is impossible to kill that man. You must know that during the Third Ninja War, he defeated Wu Wei on the Kikyoyama battlefield alone, and then led his team to destroy the Kanabi Bridge, defeated the Abbey combination, and repelled the 3 generations of Raikage. You must know that the Abbey combination at that time is now the 4th generation Raikage and Killer Bee Jinchuriki, Column Force Killer Bee, and the 3rd generation Raikage was called the strongest spear and the strongest shield at that time. Do you know how strong that man is now? Gaara fell silent after hearing this, and said nothing, while Kankuro and Tamari were shocked when they heard about Lei Luo's series of records. Just then, an accident happened. Boom! Sunagakure team stepped into a trap set up by someone unknown, and was instantly torn apart, and the sky was filled with yellow sand. And several teammates next to him were inevitably injured. Whoops, what a pity. I didn't expect that only one was killed. Your luck is so good. At this moment, a voice came from behind the yellow sand that filled the ground. Enemy attack. Be alert. After Maki gave an order, everyone made a gesture of alertness. When the yellow sand dispersed, he realized that there was only one enemy. The man was wearing a black robe with a black background Yuhi cloud, blonde hair, and the forehead guard on his head indicated that he was from the village of Iwagakure, but the deep scratch told Maki that he was a missing nin. That's right, it's Deidara. Missing nin of Iwagakure village. You dare to ambush our Sunagakure village team by yourself? Maki asked in a deep voice, squinting. Deidara was giggling. Even if she was facing so many people in Sunagakure village, she didn't seem nervous. It's enough for me to deal with you guys. Besides, who told you that I'm the only one? Deidara's words made Maki even more cautious, scanning other places from the corner of his eye from time to time, looking for where the enemy might be hiding. Iwagakure village missing Nin, what is your purpose? Maki asked. Deidara said with a smile, it's very simple, you just need to give me the little panda behind you. Maki's pupils shrank when he heard the words. His purpose turned out to be Gaara, and it seems that he was running after him. Then Maki said, impossible, I can't give Gaara to you. Deidara spread her hands and said, then there is no way. At this moment, before Deidara finished speaking, Maki took the lead in attacking Deidara. Futon, wind style, blade of wind. Immediately, 10 sharp wind blades condensed on Maki's fingertips, and then with a sudden wave, a whirlwind attacked Deidara with the wind blades. Deidara didn't panic at all, and threw out a few small clay spiders to blow the wind blade into pieces. Humph! If you have to force me to do it, let you see my art. Art is a blast. Exploding clay, little bird. Deidara waved both hands, and the clay spit out of the mouth of both hands turned into a few small birds that flew directly towards Maki. Maki looked at the flying clay bird, and threw out a few shuriken to intercept it, but just as the shuriken touched the little bird exploded. Moreover, the explosion range of this little bird is much larger than that of the explosive talisman. The Sunagakure who were injured just now had no time to escape, and were directly killed by the explosion. Damn guy! Maki looked at this scene, Yuhi's eyes suddenly lit up. But he didn't lose his mind, turned his head to Temari and Konkuro and said, you guys go. Go back to the village and inform Lord Kazekage. He knew that since the target of this Iwagakure village ninja was Gaara, it would definitely not let Gaara leave, but Temari and Konkuro were likely to be able to escape successfully. As long as he can persist until Lord Kazekage arrives, Lord Kazekage will be able to successfully suppress this guy. Then the crazy hand seal in Maki's hand, the wind whistled suddenly, the yellow sand rose up, and attacked Deidara. Taking advantage of the fact that Deidara was blocked by the yellow sand, now was a good opportunity for Temari and the others to escape. Maki turned his head and shouted at Temari and Konkuro, go. Author's digression. Brothers, my new book, Hokage I Smash Golden Eggs in Konoha, has been released, and there should be a few minutes of buffer time. At that time, everyone can watch the new book or click the author's name to watch it. I hope you will continue to support me, thank you. In addition, the authors of these two books will guarantee daily updates and will never stop updating. The protagonist's experience is not over, and our Hokage world is not over. Thank you brothers. Chapter 172 Maki's death. Boom. With a loud noise, the whirlwind attacking Deidara was instantly blown up by the clay *******. But Konkuro and Temari had already escaped while the yellow sand blocked their sight, and many other Sunagakure ninjas had also taken the opportunity to escape. Deidara has found out about this situation, but he doesn't care, as long as Gaara is still here. With so many people running away, do you think you're the only one who can stop me? Deidara asked, looking at Maki. Before Maki could answer, Gaara was irritated by Deidara's defiant attitude. Just ignore me Gaara. I'm the one who you said can be taken away. Then Gaara spoke directly to Deidara in a cold voice. Damn it, you die for me. Sand when it rains. With the control of Gaara chakra, the surrounding sand formed countless sand bombs and attacked Deidara overwhelmingly. Hee, kid, can't you just stay calm? Exploding clay. C2. Dragon. With the Deidara hand seal, a huge white clay dragon charged towards Gaara, and Gaara's sand bullets hit the clay dragon without any effect. Instead, the clay giant continued to spit out clay ****** from its mouth and attacked Gaara. Maki looked at the rushing clay giant dragon, and pulled Gaara into a violent retreat. Futon, wind style. 1,000 faces. Quote. Futon, wind style. Blade of the wind. With Maki's hand seal, countless wind blades attacked the clay dragon overwhelmingly, but with little success, the clay dragon attacked Maki and Gaara unabated. Drink. Blast. Didera gave a light drink, and the whole clay dragon exploded. Boom! A mushroom cloud slowly rose. Didera's eyes were frantic, and she murmured as she watched the effect of this move, "What a wonderful art." When the smoke cleared, Dilata found that although there was a trace of blood from the corners of their mouths, Maki and Gaara didn't seem to be seriously injured. Because just when the clay dragon exploded, Gaara used the sand to form a solid barrier to protect him and Maki. However, the blast of Didera's clay dragon was too powerful for his sand barrier to fully resist. But just as the sand barrier shattered, the sand in the gourd behind him suddenly actively flowed out and formed a layer of defense outside his body to protect him. As a Jonin, Maki's natural strength is not weak. With the resistance of Gaara's first layer of sand barrier, he can easily resist the rest of the power. This guy is so strong, it seems that I can't wait for Lord Cascade to arrive. Maki looked at Didera and thought. But Marky's heart was ruthless, and he had already made up his mind. Even if I risk my life, I must stop him. Maki raised his hand to check the blood on the corner of his mouth, then took out a kunai from the ninja bag with his backhand, and attacked Didera directly. His blast is good, but as long as I'm close, his blast is useless unless he wants to die with me. Didera also saw Marky's intentions. Although he is a relatively simple and straightforward type, he is still very calm in battle and has a rigorous and close tactical thinking. Exploding clay. Twin snakes. The two giant clay snakes drilled out of Didera's sleeves and attacked Maki in an instant. As long as Maki was approached by the giant clay snake, it would be entangled and immediately exploded. In other words, if Maki was entangled by a giant clay snake, he would definitely die. Maki had already seen the power of Didera's clay explosion, and naturally did not dare to let the clay snake approach. The wind attribute chakra was entangled on the kunai, and as Magi swung, a huge wind blade directly slashed the clay giant snake. Didera's clay is not infinite. The C2 dragon just consumed a lot of clay for him. Now to deal with Maki, he only needs to use some small clay to consume it. Maki will definitely not last long. Exploding clay. Centipede. Exploding clay. C1. Clay spider. Exploding clay. Grasshopper. Didera kept throwing all kinds of clay ***** and attacked Maggie. Although Maggie blocked them one by one, Maggie didn't have much chakra left. But at this moment, Gaara, who was ignored by Didera, took action. Hand of Sand. I don't know when, Gaara's chakra has spread over, controlled the sand under Didera's feet, and then formed a pair of sand hands, grabbing Didera's feet. It's now. Marky's eyes lit up at this scene, feeling that now was a good chance to kill Didera. Immediately, the chakra in Maki's body burst out, and the speed suddenly increased, and he rushed in front of Didera almost instantly, and the kunai with futon wind-style chakra attached to his hand instantly pierced into Didera's chest. Successful. Maki was overjoyed, but immediately realized that something was wrong. Why Didera's wound didn't bleed, and she didn't even make a sound after receiving such a serious injury. Haha, I've already found out that the little panda behind you has taken action. I didn't expect you to be fooled so easily. A voice came from behind Didera, who was stabbed by Maki, but the voice was obviously Didera. The next moment, Didera, who was stabbed by Maki, instantly turned into clay, pulling and wrapping Maki. It's just a clay clone. A thought flashed through Maki's mind, and then with the light drink of Didera's body, a severe pain spread throughout his body, and then he lost consciousness. Drink. Blast. Didera's body drank lightly, and the clay avatar that wrapped Maki exploded. Maki's body was instantly blown away, and only Yuhi's blood stained the desert under Yuhi's feet. Just when Maki stabbed Didera just now, Didera left a clay clone to stay in place, and his own body sneaked into the ground through the Doden Earth style. Earth Dragon hidden technique. Ha ha ha, no one can stop me now. No one can resist the charm of my art. Didera watched Gaara laugh wildly. It's your turn next, follow me obediently. Exploding clay. C1. Spider clay. Exploding clay. C2. Dragon. Deidara unleashed the clay dragon and the clay spider again, attacking Gaara from both the air and the ground. Boom. Chapter 173 Rasa arrives. Boom. With a loud bang, the clay spider and clay dragon that rushed in front of Gaara exploded instantly, and the smoke and dust enveloped Gaara. The smoke cleared, and Gaara had many wounds on her body. It didn't seem to be a serious problem, but the person had already passed out. Haha, just right, it's time to go. Deidara looked at the fainted Gaara, laughed, and tied it directly with the clay rope. Exploding clay. Giant bird. Deidara squeezed out a giant bird with explosive clay, then took Gaara and sat on the back of the giant bird, and the giant clay bird spread its wings and flew straight up. Then Deidara quickly left here. The Land of Winds, Sunagakure Village, Cage Office. 4 generations of Cage Rasa were working on the file when Tamari and Konkuro broke in directly. What does it look like to be flustered? Cage Rasa, the 4th generation, asked sharply, looking at Tamari and Konkuro, why are you two? What about Gaara? Tamari panted and replied, Father, in the desert not far from our village, someone tried to capture Gaara. Teacher Maki intercepted him and sent us back to the village for help. What? Rasa heard the words and stood up directly. Who is that? Konkuro replied, I don't know, the enemy was wearing a black robe with a black background Yuhi cloud. It looks like it should be the uniform of some organization. Yuhi cloud on black background. Rasa thought for a moment and didn't remember which organization this was, and there was no time for him to think so much now. So Rasa asked the two of them, Gaara, where are they? Tamari replied, in the desert north of the village. Go. Rasa rushed out of the Cage office with Tamari directly. Then directly hand-seal condensed the gold placer into a placer gold platform, and flew out of the village with Tamari. Sunagakure Anbu, who was standing outside Cage's office, was a little confused when he saw the 4 generations of Cage who flew away. He didn't know what happened, and then saw that Konkuro was still in the office, so he stepped forward to ask. Konkuro, do you know what Cage-sama is doing? Konkuro nodded and replied, Father, he went to save Gaara, in the desert in the north not far from the village. Captain Sunagakure Anbu made a decision in his heart upon hearing Konkuro's words. Squad 3 and Squad 5 follow me to support Lord Cage. The others are patrolling the village, stay alert. Yes. Rasa, who was flying on the gold dust, brought Tamari to the place where Maki and Deidara fought just now, but there was nothing but blood and explosions. Damn it. One step late. Rasa looked gloomy at the scene. Gaara is very important to the village, not because he is his own son, but because there is only one tailed beast in the village. The current Sunagakure village is basically the weakest shinobi village among the 5 great powers. If it loses one more tail now, the village will not even have a strategic weapon to suppress the bottom. Naturally, Rasa couldn't have Gaara taken away by Deidara, looking for possible traces everywhere in the battlefield. This is Gaara's blood. Rasa sensed the blood in the desert under his feet, then held the hand seal in his hand and performed tracking ninjutsu based on the blood. It turns out that the enemy left from the sky, no wonder there are no traces on the ground. Rasa already knew the direction Deidara was leaving. So Rasa turned to Tamari and said, You are here waiting for support, I will go after Gaara first. Gaara must not fall into the hands of the enemy like this. Tamari nodded and replied respectfully, Yes. Lord Father. Rasa directly controlled the gold dust and took him to fly, catching up with Deidara at full speed in the direction Deidara left. Where is this? Gaara opened his eyes slowly, and the color that entered his eyes turned out to be the blue sky Shirakumo. Where am I? Wasn't I fighting someone else just now? Gaara's consciousness gradually became clear, and she remembered what happened before she fell into a coma. After taking the Chunin exam by himself, he followed the Sunagakure village team back to the village, but was stopped by a man wearing a black yuhi cloud and black robe in the desert north of the village. As soon as they fought, several of Sunagaku's comrades died. After some fighting, Maki Jonin was also killed by that and his last impression was that the ninja controlled the clay spider and the clay dragon to rush towards him, and he only had time to release hand seal with a move to harden the sand wall. As soon as he enveloped himself, the clay spider and the clay dragon exploded, and then he lost consciousness. Am I dead? No. Gaara soberly felt a sense of tightness coming from her body, as if she was being tied up. I sensed the shukaku in my body and felt that it was still there, but I couldn't contact him. That guy named Lei Luo's sealing technique is so strong that I actually lost contact with shukaku. Then Gaara struggled to sit up and figured out her current situation. She was captured by the ninja who intercepted her. Yo, I didn't expect you to wake up. As soon as Gaara made a move, Deidara found out. Deidara stared at Gaara and said coldly, I advise you to be obedient, and don't even think about running away. The rope on your body is made of clay. As long as it senses that you are using chakra, the rope on your body will explode directly. Quote. Gaara snorted coldly, Humph. Do you think I'd be afraid of death? Just as Deidara was about to speak back, someone suddenly attacked him. Jiden magnet style. A veteran shuriken. Countless gold shuriken shot at Deidara from behind, and the figure that followed closely behind the gold shuriken also appeared in the sight of Deidara and Gaara. I caught up so quickly, looking at these gold duster shuriken, it must be the fourth generation of Keisuke Rasa. Deidara controlled the clay giant bird to swing left and right to dodge the attack of the gold duster shuriken, and recognized a few from time to time. The clay bird shot down the gold duster shuriken. And two words flashed in Gaara's mind. Father. But Gaara came back to his senses immediately. Humph, he didn't catch up with my son. He was worried that the monster in my body would be taken away by someone. Humph, I don't know who you are, but I advise you to put Gaara down, otherwise our Sunagaku village will not let you go. Rasa stood on the gold dust platform and looked at Deidara and said coldly. Deidara chuckled lightly and replied, Hee hee, don't talk nonsense. Since I've made a move, it's definitely impossible to give up like this. Humph, die. Rasa snorted coldly, then handed a crazy hand seal. Jiden magnet style. Sans waves. Quote. Chapter 174-Garuda. With Rasa's hand seal, a large amount of gold dust condensed in the air, and then shot towards Deidara like a stormy sea. Being in the air, it was difficult to dodge, so Deidara could only jump off the clay giant with Gaara, and then controlled the clay giant to charge towards the influx of gold dust. Boom! The placer gold was blown apart by the giant clay bird, but immediately gathered again under Rasa's control. C. Shin. Yin. Exploding clay. C1. Clay spider. Deidara held the hand seal in his hand, and countless small clay spiders crawled out of his hands, crawling towards Rasa who had just landed on the ground. Controlling the gold duster to fly with him for a long time consumed a lot of chakra, and Rasa did not dare to fly again. He looked at the densely packed clay spiders crawling towards him, and Rasa held the hand seal in his hand. Jiden magnet style. Gold dust wall. Suddenly, a gold dust barrier stood in front of him. But Rasa's gold dust barrier was noticeably tighter and thicker than Gaara's sand barrier, and the little spider's explosion didn't cause any damage to it. Immediately after the change of the Indian style in Rasa's hand, the gold placer barrier also turned into placer gold again. Jiden magnet style. The great river of gold dust. Quote. Deidara's feet instantly turned into quicksand of gold dust, and his body continued to fall, gradually being engulfed by the gold dust. Just when Rasa's hand seal was about to release, Jiden magnet style. Gold dust imperial funeral. The gold dust quicksand that engulfed Deidara just now began to swell. Exploding clay. C2. Dragon. A clay dragon rushed out of the quicksand with Deidara, and then the clay dragon sprayed clay **** towards Rasa like a dragon breath. Exploding clay. Giant bird. Didera waved his hand, and a giant clay bird appeared in the air, and then Didera jumped directly from the dragon to the back of the giant bird, and then the clay dragon charged towards Rasa unabated. Boom! After a loud bang, the smoke cleared, and Rasa was covered in wounds and blood dripping. Damn, what kind of organization is this? How is it so powerful? Rasa's eyes were heavy, staring at Didera. The speed of the giant clay dragon rushing just now was too fast, and the speed of the detonation was too fast. Before he could gather the gold dust to resist, the giant clay dragon had already exploded. If he hadn't reacted in time, quickly retreated, and built a layer of simple gold dust armor for himself, he would have been seriously injured by that move just now. But even now, he looks very miserable. Lord Cascage, if you retreat now, there is still a chance. If you continue to attack, you are likely to die here. Didera looked at Rasa and said coldly. At the same time Didera put one hand behind her, and the mouth in her hand kept chewing and making clay. After so many battles in a row, his clay inventory is running out, and he has to replenish some quickly. Rasa stared at Didera with a heavy face, then turned to look at Gaara, who was tied by Didera's clay rope and thrown aside, and he still made up his mind. It is impossible for me to leave at this time, either as Cascage or as a father. As a Cascage, one tail is a strategic weapon in the village, so it is impossible for you to take it away like this. As a father, although I say that my father is very unqualified, I don't value this child much, but he is my son after all. If I let you take him away, even if I die, Galio won't forgive me. Rasa said in a deep voice that although he has no feelings for Gaara, he really has deep feelings for his wife, Galio. And a large part of the reason why he doesn't like Gaara is because his wife Galio died because of Gaara's dystocia. Although his words are sincere, but as the fourth generation of Cascage, he is not a person who is easily controlled by emotions. He is also taking advantage of this period of time to continuously recover his chakra. After all, he consumed a lot of chakra by manipulating the gold duster to fly to chase. Didera laughed at Rasa's words. Ha ha ha, it's really touching, but since you don't want to leave, then stay here. Didera has already made a lot of clay at this time, and he also sees Rasa's intention to delay the time. Whether Rasa is trying to restore chakra or waiting for the support of Sunagakure village, it is not suitable to delay it any longer. It's time to make a break. Didera held the crazy hand seal in his hands. The clay he had just made was constantly being turned into various kinds of clay ***, and then attacked Rasa under Didera's control. Exploding clay. By wing bird. Exploding clay. Grasshopper. Rasa manipulated the gold dust to form a defensive barrier again, blocking these attacks. But Didera hand seal again. Exploding clay. Magic tricks. A clay clone split from Didera's body, and under Didera's control, he charged directly towards Rasa with kunai in hand. Humph. With just one clone, you want to beat me? Rasa looked at the rushing Didera clone, and a trace of disdain flashed in his eyes. Then the right hand is empty, and the gold dust condenses in the right hand, forming a sword of gold dust. He raised his hand to block the kunai of Didera's clone. As Cascage's Rasa, apart from Jiden magnet style, he is not weak in physical skills. Didera's clone attacked Rasa from all directions, and Didera's main body kept throwing some small clay **** to harass him, but they were easily blocked by him. Looks like there's not much material for this guy to explode. Rasa's mouth curled into a smile. But this smile was seen in Didera's eyes, and Didera also showed a smile. He deliberately did not use the powerful clay ***, just to make Rasa make a wrong judgment. After pushing back the attack of Didera's clone again, Rasa saw the opportunity to cut Didera's clone with a sword. But as soon as he cut it open, he realized that something was wrong, and a sense of crisis kept coming from the bottom of his heart. Then at this moment, the Didera clone that was unfolded in front of him exploded, and Rasa retreated, but was still affected by the explosion. The leg was injured, and the figure was a little staggered. "I didn't expect you to even explode with your avatar," Rasa said, watching Deidara bite Kiba, her eyes full of anger. Since he was Kage, no one has ever pushed him to this degree, to allow him to be hurt so badly. "Haha, you didn't expect more. I'll see how you dodge this trick." Deidara laughed, and the main body rushed towards Rasa. During the process of the body dashing forward, Deidara threw a lump of clay into his mouth and kept chewing. Then he spit out a clay doll of his own directly from his mouth, and the doll's body continued to expand, and soon surpassed Deidara's body. Deidara turned around after spitting out the doll, rushed towards Gaara, summoned a giant clay bird again, then threw Gaara on it, jumped on it himself, and ran quickly into the distance. "Let you see my art." Exploding Clay. C4. Garuda. Chapter 175. Rasa is dead. Veteran out. The body of the clay doll had risen to dozens of meters high, and Rasa also felt the dangerous aura coming from it. As soon as possible, Rasa mobilized chakra with himself to retreat in time, but the injured legs still affected his speed, preventing him from escaping the explosion range of C4 Garuda. Boom! With a loud noise, a shock wave suddenly spread, and Deidara and Gaara on the clay giant were shaken by the shock and almost fell. Deidara controlled the clay giant bird to stop in the air. Looking back, a huge mushroom cloud slowly rose. The location where Garuda exploded has become a deep crater, and the surrounding yellow sand continues to flow to the crater in the middle, filling it up gradually. With such a violent explosion, Rasa, who was in the range of the explosion, had no bones left and disappeared from the world. Deidara watched this scene with a fanatical nuclear sun smile on her face. Art is an explosion. What a wonderful art. Then he took Gaara on a clay giant bird and left quickly. After Deidara left for a long time, the Anbu team supported by Sunagakure village finally arrived. Relying on the perception ninja in the team, he judged the direction by constantly perceiving the residual breath of Rasa. Just as they continued to pursue and move forward, they heard a loud noise from afar, and also saw the slowly rising mushroom cloud. They speeded up immediately and rushed towards here at full speed. When they saw the scene here, they were stunned. The giant pit in front of me was bottomless, as if it could engulf everything. Although the surrounding yellow sand continued to flow in, it didn't seem to fill up much, and the giant pit was still so bottomless. "Can you sense Kage-sama's breath?" Captain Sunagakure Anbu asked, turning his head to a Sunagakure Anbu ninja behind him. This Sunagakure Anbu ninja is best at perceptual ninjutsu. He pursued the 4 generations of Kage Rasa all the way, relying on his perceptual ninjutsu. But at this time, the Sunagakure Anbu ninja shook his head and replied to Captain Sunagakure Anbu, "Captain, the breath of Lord Kage disappears here." Could it be that Lord Kage was fighting the enemy here just now, and he has unfortunately died? Captain Sunagakure Anbu thought while looking at the deep pit. Impossible. Lord Kage is so powerful, how could the enemy kill him? Then Captain Sunagakure Anbu issued an order to the squad members around him. "You give me a good search around here to see if there are any other traces, and be careful of possible hidden enemies." "Yes," Sunagakure Anbu replied in unison, and then dispersed. "It's a pity, they are just useless after all. Rasa has no bones left, Deidara has already left Gaara from the air, what traces can they find?" A few hours later, the Sunagakure Anbu ninja gathered again, and the search came to nothing. Alas! Captain Sunagakure Anbu sighed, he already knew that Rasa might have suffered an accident. Then he opened his mouth and said to the members of Sunagakure Anbu, "Let's go. Let's go back to the village." Jinchuriki column from Sunagakure village and the disappearance of the 4th generation of Kage Rasa was immediately transmitted back to their respective villages by the hidden piles left in Sunagakure village by other villages. And now there is no one in Sunagakure village who can preside over various tasks in the village, so Captain Sunagakure Anbu decided to invite Chiyo and Ebizo, the elders who have been retired. "What are you doing here with me?" Can't the old lady think about having an Anbu birthday? Chiyo looked at Captain Sunagakure Anbu in front of him and asked in a bad tone. Ebizo hurriedly spoke out to persuade him to make peace. Sister, don't get excited. Maybe there's something going on in the village. Chiyo replied. What can happen in the village? Isn't that Rasa guy in the village? What can happen? Ebizo felt a headache looking at his sister Chiyo's attitude. Ever since her sister Chiyo's son and daughter were killed by Konoha White Fang, and Rasa, despite his opposition, formed an alliance with Konoha after the Third Ninja World War, her sister has had a lot of opinions on the village. So he and his sister retired. Although they were elders, they no longer bothered about the village. In addition, my sister often plays the role of a corpse. As the highest medical ninjutsu sister in Sunagakure village, she plays a corpse. Even if he is often unable to distinguish the true from the false, he scared himself half to death. Just when Chiyo mentioned Rasa, Captain Sunagakure Anbu had a sad face on his face. Then he said in a deep voice, Elder Chiyo, Lord Kazekage, he has disappeared. It is very likely that something has happened. Now the village needs someone to take charge of the overall situation. Chiyo was very surprised when he heard this and asked, What? You can't lie to the old lady, what happened in the village? Sunagakure Anbu replied. Not long ago, the Chunin joint examination was held in Konoha village, the land of fire. Lord Kazekage sent Maki-Jonin to lead the team, but they were ambushed on their way back to the village. The person who shot is wearing a black Yuhi cloud robe. It may be someone from a certain organization. His purpose is to capture the power of one-tailed Jinchuriki column. Ichiyo's Jinchuriki column force. Chiyo asked, You mean that Rasa sent Ikio's Jinchuriki column force to take the Chunin joint exam? What the hell is Rasa thinking in his mind? He even sent a group of people, Jinchuriki column, to participate in the Chunin joint exam. Is there no one in our village? Chiyo's tone was full of dissatisfaction with Rasa, but she still loved her village after all, suppressed her temper, and asked, Then what happened? Sunagakure Anbu replied. Maki-Jonin stopped the enemy with his life, and let the others escape back to the village to deliver the news. Then, when Lord Kazekage knew the news, he left the village to pursue the enemy. When we arrived, there was a bottomless pit where Kazekage-sama fought the enemy, but Kazekage-sama had already disappeared, and the enemy and the one-tailed Jinchuriki column force also disappeared. Ebizo is the younger brother. He has always been the think tank in the village, and he has always had more ideas than his sister Chiyo. Although Izuo is very important to the village, the most important thing now is to maintain order in the village and prevent any further problems within the village. So he said to Chiyo, Sister, it's time for us to go out. As ninjas, we shouldn't die of old age here. Chiyo listened to Ebizo's words, took a deep breath, and said, Okay. I agree. Fire Nation, Konoha Village, Hokage Office. What? Chapter 176 All parties react. Akatsuki strikes again. What? Tsunade looked at the information that Anbu had just sent, and made a sound of disbelief. Unexpectedly, someone took action to snatch Jinchuriki column power, and the fourth generation of Kazekage Rasa also disappeared. Now the elders Chiyo and Ebizo are in charge of the overall situation in Sunagakure village. Although Sunagakure village is the weakest among the 5 major ninja villages, it is also the 5 major ninja villages, and now an organization has sent one person to do this. I didn't expect this Akatsuki to be so strong. That's right, according to the information from the intelligence, the person who shot was wearing a black Yuhi cloud robe, and Tsunade knew that he was from the Akatsuki that was all made up of S-rank missing nin that Lei Luo mentioned at the beginning. But Tsunade isn't worried about what effect they will have on Konoha, although Akatsuki's purpose is the tailed beast, but Konoha's tailed orc Jinchuriki column forces Uzumaki Naruto. Tsunade believes that with the protection of Lei Luo, Akatsuki will not succeed, because Lei Luo has successfully killed 2 Akatsuki members before, Takian Village class missing Ninkakuzu and Sunagakure Village S class missing Ninsasori of the Red Sand. The strength should not be worse than the person who shot this time. But the news still has to be told to Lei Luo-kun and let him be careful. Come on. As soon as the words fell, an Anbu appeared in Hokage's office. Today at Hokage's office happens to be Lei Luo's girlfriend Yugao. Lord Hokage. Tsunade looked at Yugao in front of him with a slight smile, and then said, "You go and tell Lei Luo-kun to come to Hokage's office, I have something to call him." Yes. The Land of Water, Kurigakure Village, Mizukage office. Obito smiled at the information in his hand. I didn't expect Nagato and the others to start taking action so quickly. It seems that I can also prepare to take action. Then he turned his head to look at the fourth generation of Mizukage Karataki Yagura who was sitting behind Mizukage's desk, his face turned cold. This 3 tails will be counted as my nomination certificate. Join Akatsuki, from behind the scenes to the front. In Obito's impression, Rin died because of the people of Kurigakure Village. The reason why he chose Kurigakure Village as a stronghold at first, his policy of seclusion and isolation is only one, and the other is to avenge Rin. Looks like it's time to get in touch with that guy Black Zetsu. If you want to get in front of the scene, you have to ask him to help. Then Obito passed the message to Black Zetsu through secret channels. The Land of Thunder, Kumogakure Village, Reikage office. The fourth generation of Reikage I looked at the information in his hand and pondered. A hidden organization whose purpose is the human Jinchuriki, column force, or is it a tailed beast? There are 2 people in Kumogakure Village, Jinchuriki column power, one is 2-tailed man Jinchuriki column power Yugito, and the other is his younger brother Killer Bee Jinchuriki column power Killer Bee. Now that the Jinchuriki column power of the one-tailed man in Sunagakure Village has been taken away, if this group makes another move, then the next target is likely to be Yugito, but they may also come out of order. Thinking of this, the 4th generation Reikage I raised his head. Come on. Whoosh. A figure appeared in Reikage's office, looking at the 4th generation of Reikage I and asked respectfully, "Master Reikage, please tell me if you have anything." This person is Captain Kumogakure Anbu. The 4th Reikage looked at him and asked, "Notify Yugito and Killer Bee that I have something to call on them." Kumogakure Anbu bowed his head and replied, "Yes." Then, with a flash, he left Reikage's office in an instant. Land of Earth, Iwagakure Village, Tsuchikage office. The 3rd generation Tsuchikagenoki also received information from his subordinate Anbu. Looking at the content of the information, he was not as surprised as other villages. And the person mentioned in the intelligence, he can basically determine his identity. After all, that was his favorite apprentice he brought out. Deidara, your strength has improved rapidly, but why did you defect? As long as you stay, the place of these 4 generations of Tsuchikage must be yours. Just to pursue that so-called art. Alas. Onoki's face was full of melancholy, and he didn't want to occupy his seat all the time, but there was no successor in the village, and there was really no suitable person. However, the purpose of this Akatsuki turned out to be a tailed beast. There is no problem with Han being in the village, but Lao Zi. Thinking of Lao Zi gave Onoki another headache. Since the 3rd Ninja World War, Lao Zi has not been in the village, and he is unwilling to return to the village, making his relationship with the village very stiff. Forget it, send someone to inform him first. Whether he wants to come back or not depends on himself. The Land of Fire, Konoha Village, Lei Luo Psychic Beast Shop. Lei Luo pushed open the store door and walked in. Just now Tsunade asked Yugao to come to him and tell him that there was something important. He thought it was something, but he didn't expect that it was Akatsuki's action to capture Yue. In fact, he already knew about it before Tsunade said it. After all, he is now in a cooperative relationship with Nagato. Before Nagato decided to start, he sent him news, and after the success, news came as soon as possible. And he also knew that Rasa was not missing as reported in the intelligence, but died under Garuda of Didera. Don't blame me, Rasa, as a cage, dying for your own village is far better than being ambushed and attacked by Orochimaru in the original book. Although you don't have any bones left now, you don't need to be taken out by impure world reincarnation and controlled by others. Lei Luo murmured in his heart. And according to the current situation, Gaara has no possibility of surviving. It is impossible to become the 5th generation cage, and it is impossible for Chio to use his own life to save him like in the original book. Although a little sorry, Lei Luo has no guilt. After all, Lei Luo is not a virgin. He only cares about the people he cares about, and it doesn't matter what other people look like, and he has to do this to complete system tasks. And just yesterday, Nagato had sent news to himself again, and they were ready to do it again, this time targeting Orway and Yao. I don't know what happened to Nagato in the Land of Thunder. Since Tsunade has received the news from Sunagakure village, the 4th generation of Raikage must also know. I hope Nagato and the others have a smooth trip. The country of thunder, somewhere unknown. Pain looked at Black Zetsu who emerged from the ground and appeared in front of him and asked, absolutely, have you found the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force and Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force? The goal this time was to capture two-tailed beasts at once, and one of them was the 8-tailed beast next to Kyubi, 9 tails, so Pain decided to do it himself this time. And Conan is now guarding the hidden Nagato body, protecting the safety of Nagato body. Black Zetsu nodded when he heard Pain's question. Chapter 177-Capture Orway. Black Zetsu looked at Pain and replied, the position of the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force and Killer Bee's Jinchuriki column force has been discovered. The location of the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force is in an underground ruin not far from us, and it should be completing the task. Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force is in Yunlei Gorge. Pain nodded when he heard the words, and replied, very good. Then let's go to catch Orway first. As for Yahweh, let's see if there is a chance. After all, Yunlei Gorge is the holy place of Kumogakure village. It's too close to Kumogakure village, so it's not suitable for direct confrontation with Kumogakure village. Absolutely, you lead the way, let's go catch Orway now. Black Zetsu nodded and took the lead toward the underground ruins where Yugito was found. On the border of the Land of Thunder, in a certain underground ruins. As a Jonin, Yugito couldn't have been hiding in the village all the time. This time he came out to do a mission to investigate the underground ruins that had just been discovered. Although the 4th generation of Raikage I had already told him that Akatsuki's next target was likely to be her, she felt that her strength was much stronger than the one-tailed kid from Sunagakure village. Moreover, she left the village quietly with the team this time, and did not reveal her tracks. Moreover, she is still in the Land of Thunder. Their Kumogakure village is much stronger than Sunagakure village. She feels that Akatsuki may not dare to shoot at their Kumogakure village. But what she didn't know was that Pain had come here just as she was searching the underground ruins. Is it here? Pain asked Black Zetsu, looking at the entrance of the underground ruins in front of him. It was dark and deep. Black Zetsu nodded and replied, that's right, it's here. My clone found that the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force is still in this ruins, exploring everywhere. Pain asked in a deep voice, is there any special place in this ruin? Why does the Jinchuriki column force of the two-tailed man appear here? Black Zetsu shook his head slightly and said, I didn't find anything special. Pain nodded, didn't say anything more, and walked in towards the entrance of the underground ruins. Yugito went deeper and deeper into the underground ruins, and soon finished exploring, but found nothing of note. The site looks like an abandoned base, but there is nothing of value in it, so it's time to go back to the village. However, the location of this site is not far from the border, and it can be transformed into a stronghold later. Yugito thought to himself, and prepared to walk outside the ruins. But at this moment, she heard footsteps coming from outside, clearly audible in the quiet underground ruins. Someone is coming. I don't know who it will be. Yugito immediately found a location to hide, ready to observe who came in. Then she saw a ninja wearing a black Yuhi Cloud black robe walking in. Damn it. How could it be from that organization? Could it be that someone leaked my track? The person who came was Pain. Yugito already knew through the Akatsuki robe that Pain was wearing, that Pain was a member of the organization that robbed the Jinchuriki column power of the one-tailed man in Sunagakure village at that time, and the purpose of this trip must be her. But she wasn't in a hurry to escape, because maybe Pain just happened to be here and didn't notice her. But what Pain said next let her know that she had been exposed. Don't hide, come out. Pain said coldly, staring at the direction where Yugito was hiding. As a two-tailed Jinchuriki column force, Yugito's chakra is very special, and Pain's perception ninjutsu is not weak. Yugito can be said to be particularly conspicuous in Pain's perception. Hearing what Pain said, Yugito naturally wouldn't sit still, so he took the initiative to attack Pain with a bite of Kiba. Rat Tail Ball Jade. Hand seal in Yugito's hand, numerous chakra balls appeared, suspended beside Yugito, and then attacked Pain under Yugito's control. Boom, boom, boom. The rat tail ball jade kept exploding under Yugito's control, but for Pain, it was all a small trick. He easily avoided Yugito's attack and walked slowly towards Yugito's direction. Pain didn't rush to attack, just like a cat playing a mouse, but the momentum was constantly pressing Yugito. Yugito looked at Pain who was walking slowly, as if every foot of Pain was stepping on her heart, giving her a strong sense of oppression and making her whole body tense. Then Yugito used Raiden Thunder-style chakra to flow all over his body, strengthening his body and speed, and charged directly towards Pain. Raiden Thunder-style ninjutsu is the housekeeping skill of Kumogakure village, and Yugito, who is Jonin, is also very good at it. Yugito's chakra condensed in his hand, forming a pair of chakra claws, and scratched his head towards Pain. But the next moment, Yugito felt a super repulsive force coming out from Pain in front of him, and suddenly bounced her out. Boom! Yugito crashed directly into the wall of the underground ruins. Cough cough. Yugito coughed twice and got up again. Although her body was strengthened by Raiden Thunder-style chakra, she still suffered some minor injuries, and a trace of blood leaked from the corner of her mouth. Pain was condescending and looked at Yugito coldly without saying a word, like an emotionless god. Shinra Tensai Almighty Push sign. Yugito watched Pain stretch out his right hand, and then a strong gravitational force came, pulling his body towards Pain's direction. Then the next moment, Yugito directly activated the power of the two-tailed cat in his body, and suddenly the dark Yuhi color chakra spread out from Yugito, his hands and feet also turned into claws, and even two dark Yuhi colors appeared behind him. Chakra tail. Cold-blooded pursuit. Yugito no longer resisted Pain's gravitational pull, but instead burst out with chakra rushing towards Pain at a faster speed through gravity. The two tails behind him were also drawn towards Pain. But just as Yugito was about to approach Pain, he was pushed out again by the violent repulsion. Ah! Yugito roared, as if transformed into a cat demon, and kept attacking Pain from all directions, but in vain. Just when Yugito made up his mind to enter the full-body tailed beast mode, a black stick appeared in Pain's hand, directly piercing Yugito who was rushing again. The deep Yuhi-colored chakra on Yugito quickly subsided, and even his own chakra could not be controlled, and slumped weakly to the ground. Then Yugito passed out. In this battle, Pain didn't say a word, and it can be said that Yugito was easily resolved. Then Pain reached out and took Yugito to turn around and walked out of the ruins. Chapter 178-Hooligan. Black Zetsu, who was waiting at the entrance, watched Pain come out carrying Yugito. A smile appeared on his face. Now we are one step closer to saving my mother. Pain walked out of the ruins. He threw the unconscious Yugito to Black Zetsu. Absolutely, send her back to the base first. Pain said. Yes. Black Zetsu replied respectfully, Hand Seal summoned a white Zetsu, directly wrapped Yugito inside, and white Zetsu sneaked underground and disappeared. White Zetsu disappeared. Black Zetsu looked at Pain and asked, "Then what should we do next?" Pain lowered his head and pondered for a while, then opened his mouth and replied, "Go and check the position of Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force to see if there is any chance." Black Zetsu nodded, then dived directly into the ground and disappeared. But after Black Zetsu sneaked into the ground, he didn't investigate the whereabouts of Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force Killer Bee, but rushed towards the land of water with the mayfly technique. Because he had already sent White Zetsu to stare at Killer Bee in Yunlei Gorge, knowing that he never left. Now that Erway has been successfully captured by Pain, according to the plan, it's time for Obito to move from behind the scenes to the present, and now Akatsuki's strength is a little weak. If Obito joins in, it will be more convenient to capture the tailed beast. With the technique of the mayfly, Black Zetsu soon came to the land of water, and then easily sneaked into the village of Kurigakure and entered the office of Mizukage. Black Zetsu emerged from the ground, the space in Mizukage's office distorted, and Obito's figure appeared at the same time. "Black Zetsu, what are you doing here this time?" Obito looked at Black Zetsu and asked in a deep voice. Black Zetsu replied softly, "Pain shot himself and successfully captured the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force, now it's time for you to shoot." Obito nodded and said, "Yes, but how to do this, have you thought about it?" Black Zetsu smiled and replied, "Don't worry, as long as you bring the three-tailed Jinchuriki column force, Pain will definitely agree." Obito turned his head to look at the fourth generation of Mizukage Karataki Yagura, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth under the mask. The country of thunder, among the underground ruins. Black Zetsu's figure emerged from the ground again. Pain looked at Black Zetsu who appeared in front of him and said in a cold voice, "Absolutely, your speed is a little too slow." Black Zetsu replied, "I'm sorry, Pain, for the delay because of something." "Oh," Pain's expression became more indifferent, "What's taking you so long at this time?" Black Zetsu replied, "I found a new recruit for the organization, who is very strong, just enough to supplement the organization's combat power." Pain said coldly, "Just because of a newcomer? What's going on with Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force?" Black Zetsu replied, "The Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force is still in the Yunlei Gorge. The reason why I value this newcomer is that he successfully captured the three-tailed Jinchuriki column force alone." Hearing what Black Zetsu said, Pain's expression changed slightly. But Pain was a little unconvinced, looked at him and said, "I remember that the three-tailed Jinchuriki column force should be the fourth generation of Mizukage and Kurigakure village. How did the newcomer take Mizukage from Kurigakure village? What a waste." Black Zetsu smiled and said, "I don't know exactly what happened, but the three-tailed Jinchuriki column force was indeed captured by him." "Where is the new guy now?" Pain asked. Black Zetsu replied, "Now he's waiting in the land of rain. It's up to you to decide whether to let him join Akatsuki." Pain nodded and said, "Since there is no chance to arrest Yahweh now, let's go back first, but I want to see how strong this newcomer is." The land of rain, Omegakure village. Obito strolled around Kumogakure with a Uzumaki mask, but he didn't have the usual gloomy aura on his body. Instead, he felt a little frivolous and condescending. "I didn't expect Pain to have some skills. This Omegakure village is developing well," Obito thought to himself. "I have to say that under the protection of Akatsuki, the civilians in the land of rain are much safer than before. No wonder many people call Pain a god and Conan an angel." Just then, Black Zetsu suddenly appeared in front of Obito. Black Zetsu looked at Obito and said, "Pain has returned, I told you to meet him, come with me." Obito nodded and followed Black Zetsu to the central tower. Pain sat on the main seat, looked at Obito who followed Black Zetsu in and asked, "Is that you want to join us Akatsuki?" Obito nodded and replied with a smile, "Yes, are you the leader?" "My name is Afe, I want to join Akatsuki, my strength is very strong." "Oh, Is that so? Pain said, looking Obito's eyes squarely. I heard you captured the three-tailed Jinchuriki column force by yourself. Obito nodded with a proud look. I have to say that Obito can be called a suitable actor in terms of acting skills alone. He vividly played the role of a Fae who is a sand sculpture and brainless. However, it is possible that a Fae is Obito's most real character, just like when he was still at the Konoha Ninja School, and his current ruthlessness is entirely due to the darkening transformation he thought of Rin's death. Pain then asked, how did you capture the three-tailed Jinchuriki column force? He is the fourth generation of Mizukage and has been in the village of Kurigakure. How could you resist the entire village of Kurigakure by yourself? No. Obito waved his hands after hearing Pain's question. I can't deal with the entire Kurigakure village alone. I can capture Sanway, all relying on it. When Obito pointed to his eyes, he instantly changed from pitch-black eyes to Sharingan with 3 Tomo's swirling around it, and then it became Mangekyo Sharingan. It turned out to be Sharingan. Didn't expect you to be from the Uchiha clan. Pain looked into Obito's eyes, his pupils shrank, and he said, Hey, that's all in the past, don't worry about these little things. Obito said nonchalantly, how about it, Chief, can I join Akatsuki now? Pain nodded and said, although you have Sharingan, you still have to test your strength. I will arrange for you to fight him. As long as you can beat him, I will allow you to join. Obito smiled and replied, no problem, who is going to fight me? Is it the leader? Do you want to shoot yourself? Pain didn't reply to Obito's words, but turned his head to Black Zetsu and said, absolutely, go and call Nando. Nando is Kisame Hoshigaki. After all, apart from Sharingan, the Uchiha family is most famous for their Kaden fire-style ninjutsu. Kisame Hoshigaki is just right. Black Zetsu listened to Pain's words and nodded back, yes. Then went out. Chapter 179 Kisame Hoshigaki vs Obito. After a while, Black Zetsu walked in with Kisame Hoshigaki. Boss, what are you looking for from me? Kisame Hoshigaki looked at Pain and asked. Pain pointed to Obito and said, Nando, this is a newcomer who wants to join our organization, you should try his strength. Kisame Hoshigaki nodded and replied, yes. Boss, do you want to fight here? Obito said. Pain glanced at Obito and replied, it's not convenient to perform here, go to the training ground. So the group of 4 left the central tower and went to the training ground in Megakure village. Megakure village, Obito and Kisame Hoshigaki stand opposite each other in the training ground. Obito laughed and said to Kisame Hoshigaki without any nervousness, Senior, be careful, I'm not weak. Kisame Hoshigaki's shark face pulled out a smile, looking even more ferocious, and replied, Rookie, you can pay attention to yourself, I won't be merciful, you haven't officially joined our organization, even if you die in my hands, the chief will not be to blame. Obito patted his chest and said funny, oh, I'm so scared. Then he looked straight and said, Senior, I'm going to shoot, be careful. Kaden fire style, great fireball jutsu. I saw the hand seal in Obito's hand, his cheeks bulging high, and instantly a huge fireball spit out from his mouth and attacked Kisame Hoshigaki. Grand fireball passed, the air twisted, enough to witness the temperature of the fireball. But Kisame Hoshigaki didn't bother to hand seal when he saw it. He slashed the grand fireball with one slash with his shark muscle, and then said to Obito, Rookie, there's no need to use this kind of trick, if you only have this ability, then admit defeat as soon as possible. Obito chuckled, hee, Senior, it's just to say hello to you, I'm going to take it seriously. Wei, Noon, Si, Chen, Sun, Ugly, Yin. Kaden fire style, fire dragon fire bullet. Obito hand seal, 3 flames were spit out in a row, forming 3 fire dragon heads, which attacked Kisame Hoshigaki from 3 directions in a pin shape under Obito's control. Sweden water style, great waterfall technique. Quote. Kisame Hoshigaki is worthy of being a man known as a tailless beast. The great waterfall technique he released has an extremely large amount of chakra. It is like summoning the water of the Tianhe from the 9 heavens, and the mighty towards the rushing fire dragon flame bullet. Rush, extinguished it in an instant, and rushed towards Obito unabated. This guy is good, Obito thought to himself when he saw this scene, but he didn't panic at all. Mangekyo Sharingan stared at the rushing waterfall. Kamui. Suddenly a twisted Uzumaki appeared in front of the waterfall and engulfed the waterfall. Space-time ninjutsu. Pain outside and Kisame Hoshigaki inside were shocked when they saw Obito's move. Unexpectedly, this newcomer mastered the extremely rare space-time ninjutsu. But Kisame Hoshigaki was only surprised and then reacted, hand seal again, and then patted the water left by the great waterfall technique with one palm. Sweden, water style, water shark bomb jutsu, quote. Immediately, a huge shark-shaped water bomb formed and attacked Obito, and he hid in the water shark and charged towards Obito together. Doden, earth style, rampart of flowing soil. With the Obito hand seal, a thick dirt wall rose from the ground, blocking the incoming water shark bullet, but in the next second, Kisame Hoshigaki, who was in the water shark bullet, slashed with a knife. Kisame Hoshigaki then proceeded to slash Obito in the head with a shark muscle. That's it. Newbie, sorry, Kisame Hoshigaki thought to himself as he watched Obito not dodge. The shark muscle was about to slash him. But the next moment Kisame Hoshigaki found that the shark muscle had actually passed through Obito's body. What's going on? Another time-space ninjutsu. After the shark muscle passed through Obito's body, Obito turned from virtual to solid and kicked Kisame Hoshigaki flying. Kisame Hoshigaki stomped his foot and rushed up again. Shark muscle flying chain slash. Under the control of Kisame Hoshigaki, the hilt of the shark muscle suddenly stretched and bound towards Obito like a chain. As long as Obito was bound by the hilt, the blade of the shark muscle would pierce into Obito's body and drain him directly. Chakra. Obito looked at Kisame Hoshigaki's move and could only use it to resist. The chain of the shark muscle handle was too long. Even if he used Kamui to escape the opening, he would be blocked when he turned into an entity. The chain behind is tangled. Doden, earth style, too long rock gun. With the Obito hand seal, a dirt spear pierced from the ground, stabbing the incoming shark muscle. But as soon as the shark muscle touched it, it sucked up the Doden, earth style, chakra contained in the Tulong gun, and the Tulong gun instantly shattered into a piece of soil. But Obito has had enough time to dodge the shark attack. Kaden, fire style, flurry. Obito used Kamui to distort the space in front of Kisame Hoshigaki, and a gust of wind blew up, and then opened his mouth and spat out a huge fiery snake rushing towards Kisame Hoshigaki. With the help of the strong wind, the fire snake became even bigger and faster. Kisame Hoshigaki saw this move and did not dare to take it hard, and immediately stopped the forward body, and released 3 ninjutsu consecutively with the hand seal in his hand to resist. Sweden, water style, great exploding water colliding wave. Quote. Sweden, water style, water formation wall. Quote. Sweden, water style, 5 food sharks. Quote. I saw Kisame Hoshigaki spewed a huge amount of sea-like water from his mouth, turning his body into a swamp country, and then, with the addition of the water environment, a huge water formation wall was formed to resist the rushing fire snake. Then Kisame Hoshigaki slapped the water surface with one hand, and 5 huge water sharks jumped up and rushed towards the fire snake, tearing it apart in an instant. The remaining 3-headed shark then continued to attack Obito under the control of Kisame Hoshigaki, but Obito used Kamui to transfer it again. Just as Kisame Hoshigaki was about to attack again, Pain's shout stopped him. Okay, Nando, stop. Ahahaha, boss, how is it? Did I pass the test? Obito also stopped when he heard the words, looked at Pain outside the arena and asked with a smile. That's right, congratulations to your newcomer, you passed the test, and I agree with you to join Akatsuki. From now on, your code name is Jade Girl, and you will be with Nando in the future. The Jade Girl was originally the code name of Sasori of the Red Sand, but Sasori died in the hands of Lei Luo when he was in Ghost Lantern City. Although Pain didn't know it was Lei Luo who shot, he was sure that Sasori was dead. Obito smiled and replied, "Okay, thank you sir." Then he turned to Kisame Hoshigaki and said, "Senior, please give me more advice in the future." Chapter 180 Pain's Arrangement. The Land of Tea. Kisame Hoshigaki listened to Obito's words and nodded coldly. He was not a warm person. "Okay, Jade Girl, I'll talk about it later." Pain finished speaking to Obito, then turned to Black Zetsu and said, "Absolutely, go and tell everyone to gather, I have something to inform." Black Zetsu nodded and replied, "Yes." Before long, the current members of Akatsuki gathered in the central tower. Pain sat on the main seat, looking down at the members below. Then he pointed to Obito and said, "This is Afe, codenamed Jade Girl, and will be a member of our organization from now on." The Obito interface greeted everyone, "Hello, seniors, please take care of everyone." Then Pain continued, "I called you here this time, mainly to assign the next tasks. Now that we've managed to capture 1 tail and 2 tails, and Yunu has captured 3 tails by himself, it's time to take action against the others." Jinchuriki column. Jade Girl, Nando. Obito and Kisame Hoshigaki responded, "Yes." Pain said, "The next task for the 2 of you is to capture the 4-tailed Jinchuriki column force and the 5-tailed Jinchuriki column force. If you have any information, you can find him." Kisame Hoshigaki replied coldly, "No problem." Obito replied with an excited look, "I didn't expect that the organization would entrust me with such an important task as soon as I joined the organization. I am so excited." "Don't worry, boss. Senior Nando and I will definitely complete the task." Then Pain looked at Deidara and said, "Blue Dragon, the Jinchuriki column power of the 6-tailed man will be handed over to you, and the information will also be asked, if there is any problem." Deidara smiled and replied, "Of course it's fine, I'll show him my perfect art." Pain continued, "Suzaku, Big Dipper." Suzaku and Beidou replied in unison, "Yes." Suzaku in the original book is Uchiha Itachi, and Beidou is Kakuzu, but now Uchiha Itachi did not defect to Konoha to join Akatsuki, and Kakuzu also died in the hands of Lei Luo. The current Suzaku and Hokuto are unknown people who did not appear in the original work, and in terms of strength, they are still a grade behind Kisame Hoshigaki and Deidara. However, the strength of the Nanao people Jinchuriki column Lifu in Takian village is considered to be a relatively poor line of people's Jinchuriki column power, and it is not even comparable to the 2 tails Yugito, and the strength of Takian village is not strong, it may be affected by obstacles or less. Although the strength of Suzaku and Hokuto is slightly worse, it is still enough to capture the Jinchuiki column power of Nantai. So Pain opened his mouth and said, "The 2 of you will go and capture the Nantai Jinchuriki column force." The 2 Suzaku replied in a deep voice, "Yes." Then Pain said loudly to the Akatsuki crowd, "Okay, that's all I have to arrange, do you have any questions?" Everyone shook their heads, indicating that they were fine. Pain nodded and said, "Very well, you can get started." Then, after learning the detailed information from Black Zetsu, everyone left the central tower one after another. Only Pain and Black Zetsu were left in the central tower. Just when Black Zetsu was about to retire and leave, Pain looked at Black Zetsu and said suddenly, "Absolutely, you have to keep an eye on Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force Killer Bee in Kumogakure village. As soon as he leaves Kumogakure village, you will report it to me." Black Zetsu nodded and replied, "Don't worry, leave it to me." "One more thing," Pain said indifferently, "regardless of the true identity of the new guy you brought, a Fae, but I hope he doesn't disrupt my plan, otherwise I won't be merciful." Black Zetsu listened to Pain's words, his heart tightened, and he quickly replied, "I guarantee that Afe really wants to join our Akatsuki, and it will never affect our plan." Pain nodded and said coldly, I hope so. Well, then you go down first, and remember to notify me of the news of Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force. Yes, Black Zetsu whispered back, then sneaked underground and disappeared. But Black Zetsu's heart was not as calm as it seemed. Did Pain find something? Is this a warning to me? Impossible. Pain's information comes from me, and I have never revealed my true purpose. Absolutely impossible. As long as I follow the plan step by step, I will be able to successfully rescue my mother. It has to be said that Black Zetsu has fully implemented the will to save Otsutsuki Kagaya, and how many storms have been thrown behind the ninja world in order to save Otsutsuki for thousands of years. This time, it is the closest he is to success, and he will definitely not give up any possible opportunity. Then Black Zetsu strengthened his heart again, and traveled through the earth with the mayfly technique, swimming towards the land of thunder. The land of tea, the frontier. The huge white bird flew over the border and kept flying into the tea country. Taking a closer look, the white bird was not a real creature, but was fabricated out of clay, with a figure standing on it. I saw that this person was wearing a black Yuhi cloud black robe and long yellow hair. It was Akatsuki's Chinglong Deidara. That guy said that the six-tailed Jinchuriki column force is in the tea country. I hope he doesn't lie to me, or I will blow him up when I go back. Deidara thought to himself. Deidara learned from Black Zetsu that Jinchuriki column Liu Gao, the six-tailed man, was hiding in the tea country, and he immediately rushed over to carry out the arrest mission. Soon, Deidara arrived at the destination of his trip, the clan of the Earth Spider. The soil spider family is a family with a powerful forbidden technique. As long as they use the forbidden technique, they can absorb natural energy. If the gas storage time reaches 30 minutes, and then explodes out from the center of itself, it can destroy all the radius of more than hundreds of kilometers. The longer the gas storage time, the larger the damage range. If the gas storage time is long enough, it can destroy the range of more than 500,000 kilometers. Of course, if you want to learn this forbidden technique, you must also have a special physique. Generally speaking, it is very good for a generation to have one among the spider clan. According to Black Zetsu's information, the six-tailed Jinchuriki column Liu Gao hid his identity and hid near the soil spider clan. Deidara controlled the clay birds to hover over the earth spider clan, and had been sensing Yu Gao's traces, but he had never been able to find them. Damn it. Then don't blame me, let these guys feel my art first. Deidara thought that Black Zetsu had mentioned that Yu Gao had accepted an apprentice in the Earth Spider clan, so Deidara decided to bomb the Earth Spider clan directly. He didn't believe that Yu Gao would never come out. Exploding clay. C1. Clay spider. Hand seal in Deidara's hand, the densely packed clay spiders fell from the clay bird and launched an attack towards the Earth Spider clan below. Boom, boom, boom. Author's digression. The author-kun has been moving for a day and is exhausted. He is desperately trying to update. I beg all readers to continue to support. As for the new book update, it is the previous manuscript, please support.